Pastor John Johnson from Desert Hope Presbyterian Church here in Florence to give us an opening prayer. Following that, we'll ask Supervisor Surdy to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those that wish to join, if you'd just stand, that'd be fine.
Good morning. So I must say, as one who unsuccessfully in Indiana back 30 years ago tried for elected office, that it is an honor and a privilege when I am able to offer a prayer on behalf of yourselves and of the people you serve. And this particular day should humble us all because we belatedly recognize that we didn't get it right at the outset, which is to say Juneteenth is worth celebrating in a nation that seeks to honor the principle that all men are created equal. So let us pray. O great and wonderful God, who long ago gave laws and commandments so that we human beings might live in peace and harmony and community with one another, we ask both your blessings and your guidance on these leaders of Pinal County and indeed on all the citizens and residents of this county. Help us all to understand that we have not achieved perfection and indeed likely shall never achieve perfection. But help us to strive to achieve the ideals that all humans are indeed created equal, something we must accept and embrace if we wish to follow your commandment that we love our neighbor as we have been loved by you. Please bless these people. Amen.
Would you all join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Johnson and Supervisor Surdy. We will now begin our June 19th, 2024 regular Board of Supervisor meeting. First item on the agenda is call to the public. Those that are wishing to address the Pinal County Board of Supervisors need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing our staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for further consideration at a later date. Before we begin, I just want to make sure that this particular is call to the public, but for items number 13 and 14, there will be call to the public on those items as well. So if you're wishing to speak about items 13 and 14, I'd ask that you wait until that time. Keep in mind we have some rules here. Those rules are be kind. You can speak your opinion and things of that nature, but I think you can also do it in a kind way. Be respectful of each other's opinions. We're not all going to agree on things, which is, listen, I've got 9 siblings, so I know what that's like when it comes to disagreements. So at the end of the day, if we just hug each other and say, hey, I love you, man, we're okay. So with that being said, the first one that I have here, and you don't need to fill out a card if you have something that you want to come forward. Remember, when you come up, give your full name, your general area where you live, and then keep in mind time constraints that we have. I know there's a lot of people here that are going to want to talk, so we're going to limit you to 3 minutes or less. And I express less. If you can say it in less than 3 minutes, please say it. Okay. So the first person I've got on the call to the public is Barry McCain.
Good morning, Supervisor Goodman and rest of our supervisors. First thing I have to say is thank you for your service. It's been a grueling year at the state capitol. And we have to understand, God runs everything. And thank you for that intro, because I was always raised that if you make a bad decision, you can learn from that. But if you don't make a decision, you can't learn from that. This session was really tough in water and transportation. But I know that each one of you had your hands full, just like I would. 18-hour days wear me out. But I wanted to thank you because we went sign to die. We still got work to do. I got the 347 widening that we need to get done. We're going to work on that, but I'm a write-in candidate for County Supervisor District 1, true. But my job, I'm AFSCME retiree. So AFSCME retiree stands for American Federation for State, County, and Municipal Employees. That's my job. And it's like, we've got more work to do, but the first thing I want you to know, I appreciate what each one of you have done. We've got more work to do, but thank God we got another chance at this thing. The biggest problem that we went through this year is called cronyism. That cronyism is bad for the economy, it's bad for people, straight up. And that's what our problem was. And Supervisor Miller worked hard, I know. I kept up with him. And Supervisor Goodman, I appreciate you when you explain this, because we can have a spirited conversation, but we still have to work with each other. And both of us have to have something to come. If we don't have two options, we're not going to have an agreement. We got to find out what's in common with us, and that's why we've got more work to do. But I wanted you to know you did a lot of work this session, more than I've been there since 2005 at the state capitol, and I thank each one of you. We're still going to go. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. George Ellison.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, George Ellison, Gold Canyon. At the last supervisors meeting, a gentleman, intelligent, articulate, got up here, was talking about the latest Democrat bill/scheme to legalize illegal immigration, and indicated that opposition to it was racist, which means obviously that the Republicans were racist. Let's look at the facts. In the 1850s, the slave states were Democrat states. The Republican Party was formed in 1854 to stop slavery. First candidate was Abraham Lincoln. He trounced the Democratic candidate. Democrats responded in 1861 by starting the Civil War. 500,000 men were killed, both Republicans and Democrats. Then, it still wasn't enough for the Democrat states, so we had to pass the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the highest law in the land. 13th Amendment freed the slaves. 14th Amendment gave them citizenship. 15th Amendment gave them the right to vote. Democrats fought us tooth and nail, but the Republicans passed that. We moved forward a little bit. After the Civil War, Reconstruction in the Democrat states, they were still making it very difficult for blacks. So, Republican President U.S. Grant sent U.S. troops to the Democrat states to make sure that everybody was treated fairly there. Move forward, early 1900s. The Ku Klux Klan, an overtly racist organization, was formed by Democrats. Move forward. 1913, Democrat President Woodrow Wilson resegregated the U.S. military, not integrated, resegregated it. Move forward. 1942, Democrat President Franklin Roosevelt interned 130,000 Japanese American citizens, allegedly because we were at war with Japan and these people might be spies. Well, we had millions of Germans and Italians here too, and we were also at war with them, and they were not interned, but the Japanese Americans were. Moved to 1964. One bad thing was solved, the poll tax. The Democrats, again, were making it difficult for blacks. They were making them pay to vote. We had to pass a constitutional amendment, and the Republicans did that. Another 1964, the Civil Rights Act. This is a good thing. It's always assumed that the Democrats did that. Well, the president was Democrat Lyndon Johnson, who said, by his own aides, who were all Democrat, that if we pass this bill, the N-word, will vote for us for 100 years. And he had a supermajority in Congress, both the House and the Senate. Could he pass it? No. The Democrats couldn't get it passed. The Republicans passed it. The Republicans voted in the 80th percentile in the House and Senate. The Democrat Party voted in the 60th percentile, House and Senate. Move forward. We go to modern day. Our current president, Mr. Biden, said in 1977 that he was against forced busing for integration of schools, and he didn't want his children to grow up in a racial jungle. which is the racist party based on the facts and the evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Next one is Tony Smith.
Chairman Goodman, supervisors, always a pleasure to speak to you from this side of the podium. Yes, I'm Tony Smith. I live in the city of Maricopa, and I'm president of Pinal Partnership. The reason, supervisors, I'm speaking during the call to the public is because as an organization, Pinal Partnership supports renewable energies. How we do that is by our committee work. We've also had a very vigorous panel earlier in this year, which we addressed renewable energies. But as an organization, we support renewable energies. Why do we support it? Well, Pinal County, as your economic development, has it as one of the targeted industries, renewable energies and especially solar. Pinal County is also blessed with natural resources as in the sun and also in copper. We have a very thriving copper industry, and linking solar with our abundant copper makes Pinal County really a powerhouse for economic development. The energy that is produced by solar is very much needed by APS, SRP, and our electric districts. But siting is important, and taking little-used state land or fallowed fields that the farmers are not able to plant because of water management issues, these are perfect examples of being able to site solar in those locations. But again, I thank you for your time, and that which we in Pinal Partnership support renewable energies, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I was going to say Supervisor Smith, but Tony, thank you. Next up is I have Gail Peters.
Good morning. My name is Gail Peters, and I live in Santan Valley, and I'm here to talk to you something that's of great concern to me. Voters are about to take part in this next election would benefit from reading a June 14th article written by editor and publisher Donovan Kramer. His insightful knowledge of our history, of our community, and our local government makes his opinion well worth the read. It made me think of this upcoming election a little differently. Donovan Kramer, Jr. cautions readers about candidates who are working to challenge our effective, stable government and warns this election could turn Pinal County government into a circus. We should pay attention. We've been to the circus and we didn't like it. We don't want to repeat the experience we had with the previous election director who purported to be something he was not. He was not qualified for the job. That was painful to all of us, and its impact on Pinal County's reputation and voter confidence was incalculable. Thankfully, that pain is receding under the commitment and work of our county recorder, Dana Lewis. For the most part, the Board of Supervisors has been very supportive in implementing new procedures and practices to rebuild our confidence in elections. Other counties in Arizona and in other states are also evaluating what Dana has put in place here to protect election integrity. Leave it to Dana to change not just our county, but may actually change the world, one county at a time. Back to my concerns, though. How do voters make sure we aren't going to elect another person purporting to be one thing, but it's hard to reconcile those claims with their actions and behavior? If you research their background and find they've changed their website to reflect a version of their story that they're trying to sell us, that is a red flag. If you find out they won't submit to a lie detector or a background check, that's a red flag. When they make absurd accusation, that's another. When someone misrepresents their ability, background, and expertise, we have seen what happens. It happened with our past elections director. Our county, led by County Attorney Kent Volkmer, and PCO officers like Mark Lamb and Lieutenant Teeple have proven records making Pinal residents safer. They've created innovative programs to manage time and money for the county. We should reward that success with our vote. Pinal County has had the privilege of a great team of elected professionals leading our county that has resulted in a 27% drop in crime rate, making Pinal the largest safe county in the great state of Arizona. Pinal County needs to learn from history so as not to repeat it and take care to preserve what we have built here. We must vote carefully. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. That's all the cards that I do have. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak at Call to the Public? Yes, sir.
Chairman Goodman, members of the board, Tom Bean, hey, happy Juneteenth. On Freedom Eve, or the eve of January 1st, 1863, the first watch night services took place. On that night, enslaved and free African Americans gathered in churches, private homes, all across the country, awaiting news that the emancipation had taken effect. At the strike of midnight, prayers were answered as all enslaved people in Confederate states were declared legally free. Union soldiers, many of whom were black, marched out on plantations and across the cities in the South, reading small copies of the Emancipation Proclamation, spreading news of freedom in Confederate states. Only through the 13th Amendment did the emancipation end slavery throughout the United States. But not everyone in Confederate territories would immediately be free, even though the Emancipation Proclamation was made effective in 1863. It could not be implemented in places under Confederate control. As a result, in the westernmost Confederate states of Texas, enslaved people would not be free until much later. Freedom finally came on June 19, 1865, when some 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston Bay, Texas. The Army announced that more than 250,000 enslaved black people in the state were free by executive decree. This day came to be known as Juneteenth by the newly freed people in Texas. Not even a generation out of slavery, African Americans were inspired and empowered to transform their lives and their country. Juneteenth marks our country's second Independence Day. Although it has been very long celebrated in the African American communities, this monumental event remains largely unknown to most Americans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. I forgot to make that public announcement. Can you make sure your phones are turned down? So, is there any others that would like to speak? Mr. Reveles.
Roberto Reveles, resident of Gold Canyon, neighbor of a previous speaker from Gold Canyon. Yes, love thy neighbor as ourselves, including neighbors from the South. Well, immoral racism happens to slither in and out of America's public life under different labels. Today, it slithers under the label of, sadly, the formerly Grand Old Party. Today is Juneteenth, National Independence Day, a federal holiday already referenced. Today, our nation continues to grapple with the tortured issue of racial superiority. Sadly, Arizona's Republican Party continues to wallow in this evil and inhumane view. How else explain this past week's vote in Congress during deliberation of the passage of Service Members' Quality of Life Improvement and the National Defense Authorization Act? An amendment was offered to the legislation proposing restoration of a Confederate-era monument in Arlington National Cemetery, a monument that the cemetery officials themselves described as a nostalgic, mythologized vision of the Confederacy, including highly sanitized depictions of slavery, also called by some as the Mammy sculpture. All of Arizona's Republican members of Congress, Andy Biggs, Paul Gosar, Eli Crane, Deb Lesko, Dave Schweikart, all except Juan Hiscumani, voted in favor of honoring this disgusting monument, and it failed, thankfully, on passage. What are we supposed to conclude? That somehow all Republican leaders and Republican candidates for office are supporters of slavery? How about it? Candidates Carrie Lake, Mark Lamb, Wendy Rogers, and those of us who are running for office, some in a Republican label. Do you support this distorted view of slavery? Racism is evil and must be rejected by candidates seeking our vote. It is devouring our nation. Time to step forward and declare ourselves. Are you a believer that we are all endowed with the same humanity created by whatever belief system you proclaim? Or are we to assume that the ongoing racist Confederacy views on full display represent your views? Time to take a stand. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there any others? Okay, seeing that there's none, we will close call to the public, and we'll go to item number 2, presentation of certificates of service to employees that have been here for 20 to 25 years. Leo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. We have the privilege of honoring 3 of our long-term employees this morning. One of them, first, I believe, will not be present, but we wanted to recognize Miriam Mendoza. She's been with Public Health for 20 years and serves as an administrative clerk. So thank you to Miriam, and congratulations. Second, we have Tanya Fields from Air Quality, who's been with us 20 years and currently serves as an administrative assistant senior. I believe Anu, the director, may be here to speak this morning. Anu, did you want to say anything, or?
Morning, Chairman, and supervisors. My name is Anu Jain. I'm the director of Pinal County's Air Quality Program. Tanya has been with the department, 20 years, and she is responsible for keeping the department running from the mail room, running errands, and I've never seen her taking any breaks. She's the person that never takes any breaks, takes very few holidays, and so she's a great asset to our department. So I'm hoping that she'll stay for a few more years with us and keep the department running the way she has. And congratulations on 20 years, Tanya. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. We'll
we'll
come back for a photo here after the next
one. Yeah, don't leave. Oh. Okay, all right. Go ahead, Leo.
Next we have Ms. Tanya Taylor, the Chief Deputy School Superintendent, who's been with us for 25 years and has seen a lot of things, and I know her and I have gotten cross-eyed over taxes many a times. Thanks, Tanya.
Don't pin that dirty word taxes on her. Good morning, Chairman Goodman, supervisors. I'm honored to stand up here today to celebrate Ms. Tanya Taylor, who has been with the County Superintendent's Office for 25 years. Her wealth of institutional knowledge in our office is unparalleled. She has a heart of service, she's kind and supportive, and she's a trusted resource for our districts in Pinal County and even across the state. She's always taking the opportunity for professional growth and to further her knowledge in school finance. She's part of our family, and we are honored to have her here with us. Thank you.
That it? Okay. If you're all right with it, we'd like to get a picture with all of you, if that's okay. Oh, she left? All right, let's go.
Sturdy, over just a tad. There you go. Beautiful. Ready? Everybody, big smile. 3, 2. Nice. One more. Rishka's trying to make an appearance. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Thank you.
Appreciate our employees, and this is a way that we can recognize them for the good work and things that they're doing for our county, and so appreciate that. Item number 3, County Manager's Report.
Thank you, Chairman. We have a video that we wanted to show and just display how our Public Works function and our Development Services Department uses equipment and to be more effective and efficient and road safety, fire safety, and so this is a pretty cool new piece of equipment that they've gotten started using here.
We had to find ways to keep continuing doing our vegetation control, what's safer, what's easier, so we went out and did some research on this new piece of equipment, which is a skid steer. We're finding out that this is a safer, quicker way to complete some of our maintenance assignments.
This thing will take stuff out that would take a brushing crew a month. It'll do it in 4 days or less.
We're finding out that it's cost effective. Instead of 3 guys on the ground with chainsaws, weed eaters, and dump to haul material away, now we just put the mulcher in these places and it's a one-man show. And it allows us to utilize our manpower and equipment in other places. Very cost effective, very safe.
I was so excited. And this is going to make our job so much safer. And that's our whole job, is to make sure that the public can see and make sure that there's not stuff growing out into the road and into the ditches where the ditches will flood.
We put them in our drainage, make sure the vegetation's mowed down, and then our retention basins have to be cleaned out once a year.
A lot of times with those, we'd have to have the chipper up on top of the road. So twofold problem, we have to cut everything down at the back of the ditch, drag it up onto the road, and now we're standing in the road chipping the stuff into the truck, where with this machine, it goes down, it doesn't come out until it's done.
This is exactly why we purchased these, is to help us out in those little areas. We had to research and find different ways to continue maintaining our shoulders for the safety of the people. We're trying to find the easiest ways, safest ways, not only for our workers, but for the public.
This is a life-saving machine for multiple different reasons. I personally believe it has saved injuries, strains, time for sure. This one machine with one guy in it, you can do the same amount of stuff in a quarter of the time or less. What I just finished would have taken everybody at least 3/4 a day, with probably 10 trips back to the yard to dump the trucks.
That's a prime example right there of how we're finding cost-efficient ways to continue our maintenance. So far, it's been a big plus for us.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have.
Oh, Supervisor Miller looked over at me and said, "Boy, that'd be fun to drive." So the message I'm getting is that we ought to be cross-trained in all these areas.
We'll get you licensed and certified.
Yeah. I'm 100%. You're a joy killer. Okay, next item is Supervisor District updates regarding our notable current or upcoming events. We'll start with you, Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Could I demur and get my notebook out and start with somebody else and come back?
You bet, Supervisor McClure.
I just want to say that this last week we opened up the cut the ribbon for Pinal votes, which is very exciting. We're going to hear some about that from Dana Lewis here in a little bit. Great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Surdy.
I don't have anything except don't burn the dang desert down.
Good. Supervisor Miller.
I don't have anything specific right now. Of course, I'll address some issues on item 6. And that'll be the reason I wasn't at the ribbon cutting, but we'll discuss that later. But Nothing specific to my district at this time.
Okay. I do. Oh, do you have a video?
I do have a video. Well, I thought we were, oh, I'm sorry.
So you do have something?
Yeah, they do have a video. I don't like this part of the... Anyway, show the video.
Oh.
This project is out near 11 Mile Corner, Sunskate Way. Sunskate Way is the primary entrance and exit. It had gotten into quite a bit of disarray. We had some residents reach out to our office.
This road was built many, many years ago.
I had my district administrator come out here and see it, find out what the resident was concerned about. His next call, I think, was to Celeste and said, can we look into this project?
We had a call from Supervisor Miller's office, and his constituents were concerned about the roadway surface.
We were able to evaluate the needs out here. The county was able to put in some new asphalt and bring this thing up to a standard that's acceptable to Pinal County. Very happy to see that.
We allot a certain amount of funding to pavement preservation. We don't allocate all of it, knowing that we leave some contingency for projects like these, where we know we might need to come out quickly. They were able to get out here within a 2-month time frame and come and complete this project within a week.
This is really how I love to see the system work, because my office should be that contact from the constituents in my district, and then we will get with the appropriate departments to handle their issues.
Projects like these can be submitted via the pinal.gov website. Project requests can come from any constituent or resident that lives in the county. Those are evaluated at our Transportation Advisory Committee meetings. They're placed on the 5-year plan and constructed with those funds.
We can't always solve all the problems that we have citizens asking about, but we certainly want to see it, and we want to talk about it and see what we can and can't do. I want to thank the Public Works Department for moving very quickly on this project. Thank you, everyone. The point I want to make there is we run this operation as a good team. I mean, I have very little to do with that getting done, other than asking the department, Public Works Department, is there something we can do? And I think kudos to the staff at Pinal County for finding ways to solve some of these issues on a regular basis. As I said, we can't solve all of them, but we don't know what we don't know, and so if you reach out to us, we will see what we can do. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Supervisor Cavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quickly, we have the Great American 4th Celebration in Maricopa at the Copper Sky Regional Park from 7 to 9:30 p.m., July 4th. And the same date, Coolidge, Kenilworth Sports Complex. That starts a little bit earlier, and fireworks at 9. So those are 2 good events. I've been to them both.
Okay. Thank you. And then for District 2, for my district, yeah, thank you. I needed that. There's been a lot of things that have been taking place, and many of the people in Santan Valley will tell you more than anything, it's the construction of roads and roads and roads, and they're being stuck in the traffic. But we started several months ago with a segment called "What's Up, Chuck?" And one of our Public Works employees we took a tour around Santan Valley and all that, and this is just part of one of the things on the tour that we took. So I have a video here.
I'm County Supervisor Mike Goodman for District 2. I'm here with Charles Williams.
I am the district manager for our public works for the Santan area.
So one of the things that we wanted to do today was do a drive around of all the projects and things of that nature that we've got going on in the Santan Valley. So we're coming up on Ocotillo and SCHNEF, we had a decision to make. And I remember when they called my office and said, listen, we can go 45 days or we can do this in 4 days in order for us to put in these traffic lights here. I made the executive decision, 4 days. Let's get it done, pull the Band-Aid off. And so I just want the public to know if you're going to chew anybody out, it's me. Okay? Yeah. I'm the guy. The buck stops with me on this one.
Little background here. We're currently working on designing a permanent traffic signal here at the intersection of Ocotillo and SCHNEF to its full width, its full extent, which will be 5 lanes. It takes a while to acquire land. We've got some BLM land on the northeast corner that we've got to acquire to accommodate the new roadway. So that's taking us a little while. So like you said, we made that executive decision. It needed a traffic signal now. So we came up with a plan and did a 1-week project where we removed and replaced all the asphalt and installed a temporary traffic signal.
I'm telling you, it was needed. We had a 4-way stop here, and that seemed to back up traffic, especially in the mornings and in the afternoon. I think that decision for us to do this was imperative, and it was needed. I noticed we did some improvements on the road here.
We removed and replaced all the asphalt, and we did add a northbound left turn lane, which helps immensely. We've got the rock plants that are east on Ocotillo, and then we've got a couple that are south on SCHNEF as well. So there's a lot of northbound truck traffic, and that makes all the difference in the world. Like you said, in the morning, northbound traffic on SCHNEF would back up all the way to those rock plants, maybe even to the Queen Creek. And now, you know, we've got a few cars in the left turn lane and we're good.
So right here, you look at the improvements that are being made. These are primarily the builders, right? The developers that are doing these improvements, correct?
Exactly. This is a typical example of when a developer is required to do what we call their off-site improvements, which is nice. But in the example of Combs, we would have had so many different developers, different construction companies at different times. That's where we thought, let's get involved and just make it an easier process, do it all at one time, whatever suits the public's needs the best.
This is SCHNEF Road that we're on right now. And obviously it's come down to a narrow point. We're going to have to expand this bridge, correct?
Yes.
And make it wider?
This next fiscal year, we've got an engineer on board that's going to do a study as far as how wide does it need to be, the land that we have to acquire, and what it's going to take to actually do that project. And then we'll have a general idea of what it will cost, and then we can start budgeting it and putting it in the plan for the future.
Yeah, and that's pretty imperative with all the growth and everything that's been taking place, that we do something like that.
Yeah.
Chuck, thank you for the opportunity to go around and show us a lot of the projects and what stages they're at. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
I agree with Supervisor Miller. We have some great staff members, especially in our public works and our community development. So thank you to our county employees and for the effort and things that they do to help keep us safe and running well. Okay, item number 5. This is a primary and general elections report on election preparations and the election infrastructure update. Information only. Dana.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, members of the board, Dana Lewis, Pinal County Recorder. I do believe we have a video.
Good morning and welcome to Pinal Votes.
Today is the grand opening of the Pinal County Votes Facility.
This went from groundbreaking to what it is today. That takes a lot of team effort, planning, all the way down to the design of this building. There was some methodical thought to it.
It's been 18 months in the making, and to say that we're excited and relieved that it's finally here is an understatement. One of the things we knew we needed in this department was space, and we needed to be able to explain to engineers and architects the flow of our processes. We did that, they put it together, and now our processes flow so seamlessly.
Hopefully, through this process of what we're going through right now, the changes, the expansion of this building, that it will become more confident in the public as a whole. I want to see more people come out to vote.
One of the things that is a topic of discussion in the elections world is always integrity and transparency. And so to be able to set up on our website the ability for people to come and do Tuesday tours with us, to reach out to our call center and ask for a private tour, when we were developing the space, we wanted somewhere that the public could easily walk into and stand and see all of the processes. So we created a viewing room, and we've nicknamed it the Fishbowl because you're in a central part of our process, 360 degrees, and be able to watch as we're doing receiving of the ballots, signature verification, when we're sending a second request ballots out, when the ballots go to the early board for processing, where the affidavit is removed from the ballot, and then when that ballot goes to tabulation. For somebody to watch the entire life of that ballot, it's kind of an amazing thing. And to be able to do it up close and personal, they definitely knocked that out of the park. The best way to build a building is to talk to the people who are going to be working in it, to work with architects who have built state-of-the-art facilities, to work with Department of Homeland Security and ensure that everything we were doing with our security systems was up to notch. Not only that, we have over 300,000 voters in Pinal County. I needed a facility that was going to handle that, but absolutely grow with us over the next 10 to 20 years.
Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Come and see for yourself. Once you go through the process, I think you'll be equally as impressed as I am and confident in the abilities of where we're headed, not only in this next election, but into the future.
I think the community has been anxiously awaiting to see what we've been talking about for the last 18 months. So now to finally see it come together and cut that ribbon, it's an accomplishment for sure.
Chairman of the board, if I may. Ta-da! So just an update about where we are going into the primary election. We are at what we call E-41. We are 41 days before Election Day. Pinal County currently has over 303,000 voters. Of those 303,000 voters, we have 175,000 approximately that are on the active early voting list. We did meet our federal deadline for UOCAVA voters, that is the Uniform Overseas Absentee Voting Act voters, of June 15th. We sent out 186 ballots to our service members stationed outside of Pinal County. June 28th, we are hosting a pre-election communication meeting for city and town stakeholders. The stakeholders reached out to us. They wanted to understand some of our processes, what the provisional ballot report consists of, some of the information that we use to put together our canvas. So we listened, and we're hosting them on the 28th to accomplish that task. Again, the last day to register to vote or update for the primary election is July 1st. You can catch the link at the Pinal Votes website or go directly to servicearizona.com. In-person early voting starts July 3rd at any of our 5 satellite offices. Again, you can find that at Pinal Votes. And that's the same day that our early ballots are mailed to voters. The last day to request a ballot by mail is July 19th. I want to remind voters that if you are a party not designated, independent, or other, that you may still request a Republican, Democrat, or city and town ballot, whether it's for an early ballot or when you arrive to vote in person early or at the polling place on Election Day. We've launched a tech training hands-on workshop for inspectors and marshals. We're receiving really great feedback on that. Many of the participants feel much more confident in using our tech, which is our poll pads and our express votes. Plus, they've been practicing with some of our other procedures. It's really great when you're not in an instructional or educational environment, but when you're in a hands-on environment to be able to ask the simple questions. So we've opened ourselves up to be able to accomplish that at the new Vote Center. Ballots were received on June 17th, and they're in the process of being audited. Our new early ballot instruction sheet for early voters has been updated. It's, again, English and Spanish. It will wrap the early ballot. So this is going to look different to voters, but it's pretty snazzy. And it's just really a step-by-step how to do the process. And we wanted to really keep it concise. And additionally, it has all of the different places that you can use as a ballot drop box location in Pinal County. Again, our drop box locations are only on county property on recorded surveillance. Poll worker training has been revamped. Now it includes an agenda, some online learning modules. We've also done a trainer audit so that we can get better every time, and the content is a bit more digestible. The last thing to bring up is that we have updated our official ballot report for ease, and we've had to include the process of when we receive early ballots at the polling location on election night. That is your update, and then I'll see you guys again July 3rd and give you more statistics.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, item number 6, discussion and updates regarding the 2024 state and federal legislative session. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as one of the citizens said, they've gone sine die at the state legislature. She was sent a number of water bills on Saturday evening. She has 10 days. The Governor Hobbs has 10 days to either sign or veto that legislation. And I saw an email that she has vetoed a batch of legislation, and which ones I don't know. I wasn't able to determine what's been out there. There's 2 crucial bills that were sent to her, 1172 and 1181, which pertain to Pinal County. Specifically, not necessarily specifically, but includes Pinal County in that legislation. And there was a demand by one of our neighbors from the north, and not Maricopa County, to veto that legislation because it was, in their opinion, not good for Pinal County, which is simply their opinion. It was very crucial. It was very hard fought as far as negotiating and creating this legislation passed by a legislature with bipartisan legislation, and now may be vetoed, and based on what, I don't know. But I won't stop fighting for the water in Pinal County. I think there's opportunity to maybe come to some kind of resolution, but it was kind of disheartening on yesterday's afternoon with the meeting at the Department of Water Resources. And you certainly all are welcome to go and look at that and listen to that discussion yesterday. So you can go to the ADWR's website and they'll have it on there. And probably the first 10 minutes is really all you need to know, is to understand or to hear how they've decided Pinal County is not worthy of this legislation. And so anyway, I'm editorialing a little bit here, but it's very, very frustrating that we've gotten to this point. So anyway, we'll see. Overall, I think there was some good stuff that came out of the legislation, a lot of negotiations. A lot of people ended up with having to take a haircut on some of their budget items. I was appreciative of the legislature for pushing some stuff that the County Supervisors Association was looking for support, and we were able to get a few things through that will be helpful to all the counties. So we'll just keep plugging away. It's the way we make sausage in Arizona. So stay tuned for more. Unless any of you have a question of me.
No. Thank you, Supervisor Miller. We appreciate your time and effort that you're doing on behalf of our county. Okay, item number 7, Purchasing Division Report. Ms. Woods.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, members of the board. Angie Woods, Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. I have before you the Purchasing Division Report for June 5th that was continued. There are 2 items on this report, RFP 220226 for specialty legal services, and a competition in practical procurement over $100,000 for Massive Blue, used by our Sheriff's Office.
Is there any questions?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the continued purchasing division report as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, continue. Purchasing division report for June 19th.
Thank you, Chairman Goodman, members of the board. I have the Purchasing Division report for June 19th of 2024. We have before you one contract award for RFP 224129 for inmate communications, 3 contract amendments, RFP 203026 for Public Defense Services Office, RFQ 220126 for Title 1B WIOA Youth Program Provider, RFP 223928 for Printing and Design Services. That is all that is on today's Purchasing Division report.
Okay. Any questions? Do we have a motion moving forward then?
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the Purchasing Division report as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Item number 9, consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time that the agenda item is called. So I have item J from Supervisor Surtee. Is there any others from the board? County manager? Anybody from the public? All right. Seeing that there's none, we just have item J that's been pulled. So can I get a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve items A through AZ with the exception of J as presented.
A motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Supervisor Surtee, item J.
So item J definitely looks like a good thing about invasive weeds in Peralta Park, but my office gets asked every week about what can they do in their neighborhoods, in their yards. And of course, we're talking about one weed, and that's stink net. And every year it gets worse, and if you have 1,000 plants in your yard and you leave one plant, that plant will then make 20,000 more plants. So is there an end to this, Hezekiah? And I know you're in parks, but with Public Works, what can people be doing? I know there are some poisons that do it, but then poison, you kill some good things also. I know some people have had success with burning them. You don't want to burn them now because it'll get out of hand, but when it's moist, people are burning up the seeds. So just tell me what you know and what's going to happen in the future with this.
Yeah, Chairman, Supervisor Surtee, Board of Supervisor members, Hezekiah Allen with the Parks and Trails Department, and great question. And stink net is one of those invasives that has really taken control. There's not a lot known about stink net and how it spreads and how to manage it and mitigate it. Really, the best efforts that we've heard of and seen is getting it early. It's very seasonal, and if you can get it before the bulbs have a chance to develop, which is the seeds, that yellow ball at the end is, once that matures, that's about 5,000 seeds that comes from that ball. Once the seeds are in the ground, they're good for about 5 years is what we're hearing. So getting it early, before the bulbs have a chance to develop, is really the best effort. And then after that, it's, some sprays do work. You do have to add some linseed oil is what we're hearing for that to be able to attach to the plant. City of Apache Junction has some great information on how to mitigate stink net, and I believe they're working on disseminating that as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting because you can see it came from the west, and every year it was just coming several miles. And I don't think it's hit everywhere yet, but it will eventually. And, of course, people ask my office for relief, and, you know, we all have different jurisdictions. There's a city, county, state land, national forest, and we had people asking, can the county do something on property that wasn't even ours? So we are limited in what we can do, and just nip it early in the spring when it's, take it out then, and then they won't spread. So hopefully it raises some awareness. And hopefully there's some new grants coming too. Steve, I know the legislature, they hardly do anything down there. Maybe they can work on this next year.
We'll throw it out there, see what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Motion moving forward then on item number J.
I move we would approve J.
We have a motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, we're going to now recess the Board of Supervisors' regular meeting to convene into, and now we're going to go into our the library district meeting. So we have consent items A and B. Is there anybody from the board that would like to pull any of these? Leo, is there any? Okay. Anybody from the public on this particular agenda that you would like to have pulled? Okay, seeing that there's none, if we could get a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent items A and B for the Pinal County Library District.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. We'll close. I keep forgetting I got to use that. We'll close the Library District Board meeting, and now we'll open the Public Health meeting dated Wednesday, June 19th. We have consent items here. All of them are indicated by an asterisk, can be pulled by a single vote as part of the consent unless a board member, county manager, or a member of the public objects at the time that the agenda item is presented. So anybody from the board want to pull this? County manager? Anybody from the public? Don't see it. There's none. Can I have a motion moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I was behind the eight ball there. I do have a couple questions. May I?
Okay. Is our health department here? Oh, here we go.
The entire department.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Marissa Mendoza, Public Health Director. I apologize, Supervisor Kavanaugh, I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, well, I have a question on the solar-powered shipping container to provide temporary relief to individuals suffering extreme heat. Are you familiar with that unit?
Yes.
So how did you come up with the need? I mean, it's surplus. So number one, how did you identify the need? Two, how to place it? Do you know the annual costs? And how many heat-related injuries were reported in Thunderbird Farms last year?
All good questions. Thank you. To answer your first question, last summer, the governor declared a state of emergency for our county related to heat. So after that, the Arizona Department of Health Services started working on ways to help mitigate heat throughout the counties. They offered this opportunity to all of the counties to request one of these cool-tainers, as they're called. And we applied and were accepted. I think partly because of the governor's resolution from last summer. So we started to move forward with the process. We identified a community partner. I don't have the exact numbers. I don't know if Corey remembers. I can get those for you. I don't have the exact numbers, but we were provided with a heat map from the Arizona Department of Health Services. It's actually available to everyone. It's posted on their website. Maricopa was an area where there were a large number of heat-related illnesses and trips to the emergency room. So we identified a community partner who would allow us to place the container at their site. That's how we got to Thunderbird. And we've been working with them to move forward on this process. So right now we're at step 1, asking the board for permission to complete all the applications and the paperwork things that we need to get done.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Did I answer all of your questions, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no other further discussions or questions, can I get a motion on this item?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item A on the Health Services District agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. We'll close the Pinal County Public Health Service District and reconvene our normal Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting. We're going to go back to, let me get my notes. Item number 12, public hearing and discussion. Approval, disapproval of case number CSR-004-24 in regards to signage at a Wendy's.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Patrick Roberts, Senior Planner, here to present case CSR-004-24. So this is a comprehensive sign package to allow installation of 5 wall signs with a total sign area maximum of 126.94 square feet within a commercial complex. The applicant is pursuing the sign package to provide the commercial tenants with more signage than the sign code currently permits. This property is located on the southeast corner of North Ironwood Road and East Pima Road in Santan Valley, just south of the Cobblestone Car Wash. The applicant is Sinorama Chandler, Chris Gunkel, and the owner is Robert L. Perez, friend of the CLLC. This is a county map showing the location of the property, a vicinity map showing the location of the property in question, and the C3 zoning, an aerial map of the site in question, a zoning map of the property, and the surrounding zonings, a map of the notification area of affected property owners. This is a map showing the site plan of the proposed Wendy's and the location of the signage requested. You can note the signage A, B1, B2, C, and D. This is a spec of the Wendy's signage that is being requested on one of the elevations. This is on the west elevation. They're requesting 42.67 square feet for 37 feet of frontage on this side. The north elevation with signs B1 and B2. B1 being the Wendy's brand, B2 being the delivery pickup window over the drive-through window. This is an image of the east elevation signage of 21.87 square feet on this side. And south elevation signage where they're requesting 29.99 square feet for 72 square feet of frontage. So some items for consideration. This application is for approval of a new sign package under CSR 00424. Per the request, the total amount of signage that would be permitted for this commercial pad is 126.94 square feet. The applicant is currently under site plan and formal review for the project, with signage contingent upon approval of this case. The sign review committee met on this project, and on April 23rd, they voted 4-0 to recommend approval of this CSR with no stipulations. At this point, does the board have any questions of staff?
Anybody? Okay. Okay.
And the applicant is available in person if you have any questions for the applicant.
Okay. Thank you. This is a public hearing, so is there anybody from the public that would like to speak in regards to? Everybody likes Wendy's, it looks like, and so Serty, when you come down, I'll treat you to a Frosty, all right?
Okay.
All right. So let's get a motion moving forward then.
If you build some good roads, I'll come over there.
I need to close the public hearing. Thank you. That's why you're there. So can I get a motion now moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 12 as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're on to item number 13 and 14. We're going to actually listen to these both by the presenters, and then we'll just take individual votes. But when I open the public hearing, you can speak in both of those. So with that being said, this is a discussion, approval, disapproval of ordinance number 2024 PZ-044-22. This is a case in regards to planning and zoning, or in regards to a solar plant, a solar facility, Sundog. So who's the presenter? There we go. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, board members. Sangeeta Deokar, Senior Planner, presenting the case, Sundog Solar. The case number is PZ-04422, PZPD 04422. After our upload onto the Novus, we have received some more opposition letters and letters of support, which I'm going to request Natasha or Kelsey to share it with you. Just two more things. There have been minor updates on the staff report that have also been updated and also uploaded in Novus today morning by Natasha and Kelsey. Thank you for that. To begin with, this is a request to the board for two cases. First is the rezone, and the second is the pad overlay for the same. It is a rezone request for 1,649 acres from GR, General Rural Residence Zone, to I3 pad, which is industrial zoning. The planned area development is an overlay to the same area for 1,649 acres with new development standards as shared in the staff report. The size, as mentioned, is 1,649 acres. Location is along Highway 287 in Coolidge and Eloy area, Pinal County. We have the owner, the Alice Group Inc., Laura Miner, and applicant agent Katie D. Spain from Energy. The county map, this shows with the star the location of this, and the unincorporated area, which is surrounded by the incorporated areas of Coolidge, Casa Grande, and Eloy. Further zooming into this, the red area shows this project boundaries, and one can see that it is abutting Casa Grande to the west. To the south is Eloy, and to the eastern side is the city of Coolidge. Immediate is the unincorporated area of Pinal County. The aerial photograph shows these parcels. One of them is totally surrounded by the city of Eloy. You can see that it is disconnected in a certain way. It's separate. And you can see that that is portion of the Eloy, and to the west is Casa Grande, to the east is the Coolidge. Again, further zooming down into the zoning map, showing the same in a detailed manner. Again, Coolidge, Eloy, Casa Grande surrounded by this project. The Sundog Solar in the Pinal County, again, showing east, west, and south, showing the extent, showing project borders. The project overview is a standard Sundog solar, the solar project that has flat topography, no native habitats that being supported. We have the AZ Game and Fish Department showing really no wildlife areas or habitats for over 5 miles. It's surrounded, again, as I stated earlier, by 3 incorporated areas and falls in the extended planning areas of Eloy, Coolidge, and Casa Grande. It's close to the Pinal Central Substation to the southeast, approximately 2 miles. The project details talks about a capacity of 200 megawatt photovoltaic project with battery energy storage. Components include the standard solar project with photovoltaic modules, electrical collection system, site substation, battery storage system, operations and maintenance building, and associated civil infrastructure. There is an additional new GenDI proposed, approximately 1.7 mile. The comprehensive plan for this project was approved in 2020 from its to its current green energy production status land use designation. That's the resolution, which was 18 November 2020. It was part of the major comp plan amendment. Just shared some details, and it did recognize the 3 trails that were passing through this project. One of them was the most important one, which was the Anza Historic Trail Corridor. And this is the open space map showing that was approved, again, a change in land use designation with the 3 corridors, the Anza Trail Corridor North-South, the Regional Trail East-West, which is along the West Story Road, and the Multi-Use Trail Corridor East-West along Hohokam Irrigation District Canal. The site plan Anza Trail alternatives that were shared with the applicant were either on the east side or the west side. The highlighted one, which is in the oval, is the eastern portion that the applicant agreed to move forward with creating the open space trail license agreement with the county. So this is the historic trail corridor that would be along the eastern edge of the project boundary, which has been shown in brown. That would be on the eastern edge. It is a 30-feet trail corridor. There's a trail license agreement that would be in effect after this is approved by the board, if approved by the board. The multi-use trail corridor along the HID Canal and the regional trail along the West Story Open will be left as open spaces within the project, however, not accessible by the public. The grading and drainage, currently the runoff runs southeast to the northwest. And all of these issues regarding drainage would be addressed at the site plan stage and have been discussed with the county engineer, and they have they agree with what the applicant and the county has come up with. The applicant proposed the trail license agreement. This is something unique, which is probably the first time that we have. It is along the eastern edge of the project area. This whole trail license agreement, the eastern edge is around 4.78 miles. The use license would be between the county and the applicant, allowing this 30-feet corridor to be used by the public as open space. The trail length is, as I stated, 4.8 miles, utilizes 30 feet along public right-of-way and portions of private land along the eastern edge of the project. What I've mentioned is 2.8 miles of right-of-way are the private portions along the edge. The rest of them is going to be the public right-of-way. This is county maintained. This includes the design of a 10-feet tread with landscaping as approved by the Milano County Open Space and Trails divisions. There would be interpretive signs provided within the county right-of-way at locations that would be further detailed out at the site plan level. This further goes into a site plan approval process after the Board of Supervisors decision. The applicant proposes the open space along the two east-west corridors that are regional trails. However, they would not be accessible to the public. The east-west is along, the north one is the Story Road, and the south one is the Hohokam District Irrigation Canal. That's the second one at the bottom, the southern portion. Some pictures taken along 280 Road, south towards 287, east along 287, and west along 287. There were site posting locations. This is the locations that was, identified. 26 smaller signs and 6 larger boards were placed, ensuring that public have the knowledge of what's going on around this area, and as was part of the public outreach. Some site posting photos that were taken. Staff findings and highlights. The comprehensive plan, the resolution, did approve this project and designated as green energy production, with 3 trails that included the Anza Trail. Some additional goals and objectives in terms of what the comprehensive plan states with respect to sense of community, economic stability, and open space and places. There were, in terms of sense of community, there were multiple neighbors in opposition and 2 cities not in favor of this. In terms of economic sustainability, long-term goals, 3 to 5 jobs will be created for a period of 30 plus years. Open space and places, applicant did agree to develop one of the 3 trails, the Anza Trail, as a trail license agreement for the lifespan of the Sundog project. The 3 major trails that cross the open space and that as a part of open space and trails, we've just talked about them. The one of them that has been the triggering point for the trail license is the National Juan Bautista Anza National Historic Trail, a multi-use corridor, left as open space, regional trail, left as open space. Agency's comments, we did get that from the city of Eloy and Coolidge that they were not compatible with their extended areas of planning. However, we did get a letter of support from the city of Casa Grande. We have multiple owners' responses, letters, emails, phone calls, and there were some issues and concerns that have been listed out here. Obviously, talking about something as visual, I would say, issues regarding to having solar along residential areas, rural life disruption as it's going to be converted to an industrial area, reduced property values, increased heat island effect, and being surrounded by electrical infrastructure, which is power lines, substations, towers, and solar farms, which have been health and safety concerns for the residents around. Right-of-way dedications, the applicant was reluctant to dedicate full and half right-of-way dedications along Highway 287, Story Road, Early, Tweedy, Curry, Signal Peak, Clark for any future roadway expansions. Based on that, stipulations 16, 17, 18, 19, 22 have been removed and modified the 25th one. I'm ready for questions. However, there were a couple of things that I would like to just point out. The Sundog Solar Energy Center right now, as proposed, would be an addition of 1,650 acres of solar in already concentrated area of electrical infrastructure. These are some of the projects that have been shared. The city of Eloy, existing other solar projects, and some references along the portion of this being an electrical hub with all of the infrastructure around this. The trail dedications, stipulations, examples of projects that planning and zoning and the board have approved for the Pinal County. Just giving you an example of some of the dedications that have been part of the process for community development that have been moved forward with planning and zoning, public hearings, and the processes that have been adopted also by the board. These are some of the examples where Amarillo Creek Pad, Arizona City Solar, that has dedicated trails. We have Palomino Ranch development areas that have been, at a plat level, have also been dedicated. Dedications from planning and health and public safety perspective, right-of-way dedications are considered as part of development and improvements required for road infrastructure, traffic, and transportation planning. Trail dedications for pedestrian connectivity that have been planned at regional level by the Open Space and Trails Division. These are some questions that we have are open for discussion. If I-3 designation is no longer needed, applicant would have to reapply for a rezone back to general rural. The trail license agreement is valid for a life of the Sundog project, which is for 30 years. ANZA corridor will no longer be a trail unless the county pursues condemnation of the trail land. The second point for discussion is demand for electricity is not going to reduce in near future. It's an increasing graph. Sundog decommission is likely not to happen. The trail license is the life for the Sundog project, 30 years. Would this be subject to renewal? Why should Sundog be treated differently than any other project in the county? Exemptions for no dedications. Are we setting a precedent for any other projects in the future? Stipulations removed as requested by the applicant are number 16, 17, 18, 19, 22, 25, which are talking about dedications. And there's a modified 21 number. It's part of the packet. It's been shared with you in the staff report and the packet. I'm open for any questions at this point in time.
Anybody? Not at this time. Thank you. Is the applicant here? Do they wish to? Apparently you do.
Yes.
Come on up.
Thank you very much. After seeing a presentation from the showing that mulching machine, I think I might apply for a job with Pinal County after this, so I could use that. So thank you for that presentation. My name is Paul Berman. I'm with Invenergy, representing the Sundog Solar Energy Project. I'm going to hand off this card. We have, as you can see, a number of folks here who are available to speak on behalf of the project as needed. They represent our legal counsel, as well as folks with vegetation management, fire safety, and others, should there be detailed questions and we want to get in the weeds, so to speak, on any of these issues. So my name's Paul. As I said, I'm a director of renewable development with Invenergy, one of the largest privately held U.S. energy companies, and we have worked extensively in Arizona and spent a lot of time on this project over the last 4 years since this was initially presented to the county. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for having us here today to discuss the project. I'd like to thank the Planning Department, who has done excellent work, and I really feel like the project that we're putting in front of you right now is one of the strongest projects that has been strongest solar projects available in state. So, and I think that is in no small part because Pinal County and this area has seen a number of these projects move forward. They know exactly what types of stipulations they need to put in front of applicants, what types of conditions they need to put on applicants to ensure that the project is safely developed and in a way that it is consistent with the community requirements. So the project design over the last 4 years has incorporated significant feedback from the community and Pinal County staff and does minimize impacts. It does maximize benefits to the county as well. It creates new solar, which brings in new revenue, but also creates new trails and open spaces. I know there's potentially some discussion on those as to how long those licenses last, but it does affirmatively create trails that have long been priorities for the county, and also clears open space for additional trails to be developed in the future. This collaborative approach that we've taken with the county has been welcome, and it's welcome from the business perspective because it sets a clear and achievable rules to enable participation and investment in the county. From the perspective of the landowner, who is a fourth-generation member of this community, and I don't seek to speak for him, this is also a very good thing because it allows him to utilize his land in a way that keeps it in his family and complies with Pinal County law. So clearly, why are we here? Sangeeta just noted that demand for energy is growing in this state, and it's growing very rapidly. These headlines that you've seen that are posted here, you could probably rinse and repeat these exact same headlines over and over and over again over the next 20 to 30 years. What is important here is that the electrical districts, electrical utilities, have the supply of power to meet this demand. Well, a big reason why people move to Arizona is, not just the great weather, but it's a reliable place to raise your family, raise your business, relocate your company, bring in the Lucids, the Nissans, like Johnson Controls. All these entities that are here are coming because it's a reliable place to do business. If this electricity demand continues to go up, and we're not planning for it, we're not planning for 5 years in the future, 10 years in the future, further, I think there's going to be significant challenges to the system that could result in blackouts. If power goes out when the weather spikes, it could be catastrophic, both to business reliability and to human health. So over the last 4 years, since Invenergy has submitted our comprehensive plan amendment, which was unanimously approved in the fall of 2020, we've worked closely with the staff and the county to improve this project. I don't think I need to tell you guys, but the planning requirements from Pinal County are among the most rigorous in this state and probably anywhere. So a lot of things have been thought through. We have spent a lot of time working with the county and putting this project proactively in front of the community to solicit feedback from them and make sure that nothing we're doing is behind closed doors, nothing is in the dark. We've been available. We've been trying to reach out to folks that we know are in opposition. We've also been trying to reach out to folks that we know are in support of this project as well. And it's been a diligent process over the last 4 years to bring us to the point where we are now. Again, I think the changes that have been put forward by the county, by the planning staff, and also the stuff that we've incorporated from community feedback have created a project that is best in class. That is that understands what the project needs to develop and be successful here in Pinal County, with the understanding that there have been other projects that have come to fruition here, and learning from not necessarily their mistakes, but just what their process has been, how they've interacted with the community, and how we can be better. We take that responsibility very, very seriously. Not on this here is the Arizona Corporation Commission approval, so that the Certificate of Environmental Compatibility is required by the ACC for the transmission line. That was the 1.7-mile transmission line that Sangeeta was referencing. That was approved in February of 2024 this year because this project is in the interest of the Arizona ratepayers and helps to improve energy stability across the state. So the project benefits, just what's in it for Pinal County. There's significant tax revenue here. That tax revenue number, I'm going to spend a couple more slides on it, but that's nearly $50 million in property tax revenues over the next 30 years. That's been projected. $2.3 million in sales taxes that'll be payable while the project is in construction. And that process would take place over a period of about 18 to 24 months. There is trail investment. That trail that Sangeeta was referencing does require significant investment of over $1 million for that trail. We're also allocated additional space, open space for those east-west corridors as well. That totals nearly 7 miles there. Water preservation. A big reason why the Roberts family came to us in the first place is because they are seeing water curtailments on their land, and there's not necessarily any clarity on that in the future. There could be legislation, there could not be, but that is dependent on a number of things that are out of control. The water preservation on this land allows that water to be utilized, go to more productive farming areas, or potentially other uses. But it keeps it in the ground or out of keeps us from drawing on the on the canals as necessary. As noted, this is a land preservation activity. This land is being leased from the Roberts family. They have made it clear that we're not in charge of their land over and over again, which is good, fine by us. We are developing it with their consent, but this is the intent here is not to take this land and sell it to Invenergy, have the ownership of it be out of state. It is keeping it here in Pinal County. That also sort of limits the development opportunities of that land to what the Roberts family wants to see on it. Again, I'll let them speak to that specifically, but as we understand it here, the options are not necessarily anything goes here. It's agriculture or it is solar. Energy security, as noted in the previous slides, that is important to ensuring that we have a good, stable place for people to invest their time, build their families, and build their businesses. So we do understand there has been some confusion that we have seen in person over the property taxes that are payable by these types of projects. We did run estimates of what would happen if this project remains in agriculture over the next 30 years. Taxes for agriculture, property taxes on agriculture get fairly favorable treatment. This is not insignificant to the county here, but it's about $100,000 a year, and those taxes tend to stay fairly flat over time. That's about a $3 million benefit to the county over the next 30 years. If this project is approved for solar and this project is built, the total tax revenue over 30 years is projected to be nearly $50 million. You'll see our tax slides that we have here have been conservatively calculated. We have a tax expert here who could answer any specific questions on it, but we've worked and asked questions specifically of the Pinal County Assessor's Office, the Pinal County Treasurer's Office, the Arizona Department of Revenue, and as well as additional tax experts as well to help come to these numbers. We could walk through them in more detail, but we are confident these are conservative numbers that represent the real impact of these projects. You could also pull the tax parcel records of existing solar facilities in Pinal County and see similar types of benefits in 6 figures or higher, sometimes 7 figures for these projects. There is a significant benefit, a net benefit of about $46 million, and again, we feel like that is fairly conservatively estimated. So what does that really mean? That means $14 million to Pinal County over the next 30 years to support roads. Once this project is operational, it's not going to add a ton of traffic. So we're supporting roads, other development across the county without necessarily adding additional vehicles. We're supporting the Casa Grande Elementary School District, Union High School, the Pinal County Junior College in the tunes of tens of millions of dollars over the next 30 years without adding any additional students. This is money that supports teachers' salaries, that supports capital improvements, and is very important to help sort of cover any types of budgetary needs. There's also, you'll see hundreds of thousands of dollars for the fire district, the library, the flood district, everything else in the irrigation district included. So we see this as a good and strong benefit and a very wise financial move in terms of providing additional and diverse economic streams for the county. I'm not allowed out of here before I tell you, why you should partner with Invenergy and why Invenergy is potentially different than some of the other folks that are developing projects throughout the region. One, we've built projects in Arizona. You'll see there's one solar project, 11 energy storage projects, and we have extensive experience throughout that field. Some of the letters of support that you'll see on here are from fire districts and towns that we've worked in Arizona. I didn't seek that for everywhere across the country that we found, which I know does exist. But we did seek local endorsements where we could find them, and those endorsements were provided because Invenergy is a good faith actor. We work closely with our counterparts and our colleagues in the municipalities, and we feel like we are good faith actors who are responsive to needs as they come up. Our experience worldwide includes gigawatts of development, lots and lots of solar projects, lots and lots of energy storage projects. All of our projects are built to appropriate fire standards and fire safety standards. Everything is monitored 24/7, both with remote staff that are literally watching everything. If anything starts flashing, they let folks know, as well as local staff. As noted, people will be employed here. We have folks. We have a team already employed in the Phoenix area, and they will respond to any issues proactively and maintain our systems to the highest standards. As noted, we do have $3 million for voluntary decommissioning. So in the event that Invenergy fails to live up to our promise to remove this project on our own when Jake kicks us off the land, there's a bond that backs that they could draw on to make sure that everything's removed and that he can return this to the use that he wants. I've walked those fields with the Roberts families. He knows exactly what the grade is, and he's going to hold us to account to ensure that everything is returned to its original use, and allows for him to utilize the land the way that he sees fit moving forward. One other item of note here is vegetation management. We have seen some of the other solar projects in the area, and we've worked with the county to better understand their vegetation requirements, both within our fence line and outside of our fence line. There's over $8 million budgeted both in the project construction period as well as the operations period to ensure that this project does not spread any noxious weeds, does not contribute to any nuisance or anything like that, and does have ongoing funds to ensure that this project is maintained. Again, we intend to be an owner-operator of this project, so you'll have folks that are local that can be called at any time necessary should anything come up. So you're going to hear from a few folks after us. I was hoping they were the stack of cards here was for the Wendy's, but apparently not. I would really like nothing more than to present you guys a project without any opposition. It would bring me joy to not have to try and go into battles or put people in positions where they have to make difficult decisions. But that's not the world that we live in. This is 2024. All the easy stuff has been done. All the remote areas with good transmission access are gone, and we have a scenario here where we have spectacular transmission access. We have a project that has been approved by the Arizona Corporation Commission as appropriate and in the best interest of the of Arizonans here, and we've got a landowner who absolutely wants to utilize his land in a way that is compliant with the law and preserves his rights to develop this project as he sees fit in the future. That doesn't mean that your decision is easy or that we should necessarily put anything aside. We've spent a lot of time getting to know the folks that oppose this project. We know a lot of them by name. We know a number of them will be here today, and we have done our best to listen to their comments and concerns. It's impossible if folks just don't want to see solar or in a specific location to necessarily address everything, but we feel like the screening, the landscaping requirements, the trail requirements, as well as the significant investment in the county make this a very good and strong option for the county. Again, I think this is probably the best developed project in the state right now and the best opportunity here for diverse economic investment. And I also do want to reiterate, this is private investment. We're not asking for extension of services from the county. We're not asking the county to, give us anything. We will leverage all funds, all finances, and it will all come from private parties for private investment in this county. We're excited to invest in the county, and we're excited to partner with Pinal County on this. Just real quick, we have a number of folks here. I said we've got the experts here. If you want to talk to a tax lawyer, if you want to talk to somebody about how we're going to handle Russian thistle or anything like that, if you want to talk specifically about the battery technology, we've got all those folks here for your questions. Okay, I yield my time. Thank you so much.
Is this are these your employees here then?
They are.
If any questions that we may have pertaining to a specific area.
Yep. Everyone over here is.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, thank you. Any questions of the applicant at this time?
What we hear, Mr. Chairman, what we hear from the landowner? Would you like? I think I'd like to hear from the landowner if it's. I don't know if the timing is right now.
Yeah. while he's here at the stand, that's what I'm asking. So does anybody have this particular?
Coming from a background of city government, I want to hear from the city of Coolidge. I know they are here today. And whenever I make votes myself, I see what's the good in it and what's the harm in it. He's showing me what their perception of what the good is, but I want to hear what the harm is, or is there a better good somewhere else? So that's what what I want to hear today.
And we'll get to that. I think is the landowner here?
Yes, he is.
Okay. I think we'd like to hear from the landowner.
Good morning, Chairman.
Is there any
supervisors? My name's Jake Roberts. I'm the landowner.
Okay.
My family's been farming in Pinal County for 4 generations. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into our farming operation. It's been our passion, our livelihood. We plan to continue to keep the land in our family for generations to come. 10 years ago, when several different solar operators came knocking on our door trying to buy our land because of its ideal location, being near Pinal Central Substation and having existing transmission lines, we told them no, the land's not for sale. When Invenergy came to us with the proposal to lease part of our land for a term of 25 years, that made sense. When the solar lease expires, the solar operator has a bonded obligation to restore our land to its original condition so that it can again be used for farming or other purposes by my family and our successors. Invenergy's plan also allows us to continue farming the rest of our land while they build and operate the solar facility. Solar doesn't compete for water, does not produce dust or emit pollutants into the air or ground, and it doesn't even make noise, which is why we can place it so close to our home on the farm. And like our business of growing crops, solar gives people something they need, electrical power. We are happy to think that at the same time our land is producing food for the table, it will also produce the energy to cook the food and meet all the other needs of families who are served by it. This solar lease will provide much needed relief for our farming operation as we continue to experience water shortages and depressed crop market conditions. The lease will provide another source of income for our family that will support our ongoing agricultural operation, and we will be able to use our water rights on the remainder of our land in order to preserve them and continue farming now and in the future. Some people oppose this project because they think our land should be used for manufacturing or other industrial or commercial purposes rather than solar. But it's not their choice to make. It's our land and our choice how it should be used. That is what private property is all about. And Pinal County has already respected that and recognized that our land is the right place for solar by amending the comprehensive plan to allow it. Please finish the process that we have already begun together and modify the zoning to match the approved land use so that this important solar project can go forward on the basis presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Any questions of Mr. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Supervisor Miller.
Mr. Roberts, can you tell me what percentage of land without the water, I know the water's been cut way back, how much land would you have to fallow each year, percentage-wise?
Currently?
Yeah.
I'm probably about 40% fallow right now.
Okay.
Because of that.
So you're that's the cut in water that basically you've taken in the last few years. You're only getting about 60% of what you used to get.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
That's all I need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. This is a public hearing as well, so I'll open up, if there's not any other further questions of the board of any. Okay, we'll open it up for public comments. I have several cards here. So first, Terry or Jerry Jennings. You'll correct me, right, when you come up? Okay.
Hello, my name is Terry Jennings. I live on the north side of the project. I live right across the street from the project. And I'm a registered nurse. I work from home. We have a lot of horses and we have a lot of animals. And when we bought the property, we bought the American dream. Never did we expect that we would have to face possible issues with health, headaches, radiation, electromagnetic. The situation wasn't the same. And all of a sudden, a big corporation comes in and they promise $40 million worth of revenue for Pinal County. All the energy is going to Phoenix. I'm not sure if everybody knew that. It's not even for Pinal County. It's being shipped out. I've already had some exposure to a survey crew that was not very pleasant. And I live on a private road, and it's already been violated. And it's going to be right across, within 100 feet of, where they're going to be putting these panels and working for 18 to 24 months or 300 feet, whatever it is. I'm sorry, I'm a nurse. I don't know engineering stuff. But my question is, why didn't the site selectors select an area that could have been a lot more apropos to homeowners, to human beings, to animals, to even little owls that are on the endangered, species list? Why do all the people in this room have to be put out so that somebody can make some money? It doesn't make any sense. And at the same time, I'm going to keep it brief, I promise. So I was a major in the United States Air Force as a war trauma nurse, and I was in Bagram, Afghanistan. And I took care of my troops. I took care of Marines, and I took care of Army troops that were blown apart. I was an ICU nurse. I put them all back together, looked after them as best as I could until we shipped them out. I was their protector. I was their nurse. And I sent them on to a better place. And I cared for them. You all are our protectors. There's nobody else out there that's looking out for the little guy. In fact, these folks right here have been bribing my neighbors to get them to sign off. It's bribery that they're using to get people to say, oh, yeah, we like Sundog. Well, I'm not that one. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Terry. The next one I have is Ashley Williams.
Good morning. I'm a resident of Casa Grande, and I live right up against the property line where they want to put the solars. I don't know what the setback requirements are. I did view the proposal. It looked like it might have been 50 feet. So if that's accurate and it's 50 feet, that is extremely close to my home, to my farm, to my animals, to my children. I also spoke to neighbors yesterday, and one of them was Manuel Ortega, and he asked me to speak for him today. He's strongly opposing. He's concerned for land use, impacts of wildlife, property value, health concerns. Also, Steve Chukri owns 3 of the properties there as well, and he's out of country now, so he couldn't speak today, but he asked me to bring up he understands that how difficult these decisions can be given private property rights. However, these residents were built long before the zoning request. Homeowners should take priority in the zoning. My concerns are increase of heat, the water, there are no hydrants out there. There are wells. We all have wells. If there was a fire, there's no hydrants. Where are they going to get the water? Are they going to be hauling water? Would it be enough water for an emergency, for a fire? On the map that was shown earlier, my home is almost completely surrounded by solar, all three sides. So if there was a fire, what's the setup for that? There are burrowing owls, which are endangered species. The Arizona Fish and Game, I believe they said they had done an online review tool report and that they were informed there were no endangered species within 5-mile radius, but that's not true. There are a lot of burrowing owls out there. So again, I'm concerned for setback requirement, electric, magnetic, audio-visual light, noise, and other effects that could be attributable to solar farms. And I'm in opposition. And like my neighbor said, I hope you guys will protect us and make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Next card is Jim Huntwork.
Sir, I'm the lawyer for the landowner, and I was just here to answer technical questions if they came up. I did not wish to make an independent
Okay.
presentation. So
All right.
if something comes up that is in my area, I'll speak up at that point.
Okay, thank you. I'll put that outside then. Okay, the next one I have is Jacob Roberts. Oh, he's already spoke. Okay, all right. Good. The next one is Jim Boyle.
Thank you, Supervisors. I'm Jim Boyle, Casa Grande. We actually farm the area immediately to the west of this property. I've got three fairly quick concerns. First off, at this scale, 1,600 acres. That's a big project. That's 2.5 square miles. That's bigger than the traditional footprints of all the cities in Pinal County. So just to get a concept, keep that in mind when we're talking about these large areas. And it's industrial. I mean, the green energy overlay is an industrial overlay. I have had experience up in Maricopa County with dealing with these large overlays. They're usually put into place without a lot of thought as to what the human effect of that is. You know, people will zone 50,000 acres industrial and then go, wait a second, that's not a great use of land. We need to diversify that. Just because that overlay was put in doesn't mean it was right or that it shouldn't be modified in some way. The second thing is that there has been farming nearby. I am concerned about weed control. I am concerned about the decommissioning process, however that is going to work. I don't think anyone's ever decommissioned a big solar project back to farmland. That's going to be tricky. And I know that they've got plans for that, but I also know that the lifespan of most alternative energy companies is not particularly long. Just because this company says that does not necessarily mean they'll be around in 20 years. They'll have been acquired by maybe 3 or 4 others. And how do we maintain that continuity that what they promise now is actually going to happen in 30 years? Got big concerns about that, especially with weed control. And finally, I think there's something unseemly happening here. I've been contacted the same way that some of our other neighbors have, is to offer a one-time payment to stop our opposition. I call that a bribe. I don't think that's the way you do business. Some people may say that's normal. I've done a lot of development, and I've never seen that before. So those are my comments. I'm opposed to this, along with a lot of the other farmers around us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Kirk McCarville.
My name is Kirk McCarville. I'm with the Land Advisors Organization. I've been in the real estate business in Pinal County for 43 years. I'm the Pinal County manager for the Land Advisors. My parent company is the largest land-only brokerage company in the U.S., headquartered in Scottsdale. and we know about real estate development and land use. We deal in it every day. I'm not here on behalf of the Roberts family. Generally, I'm not involved in this transaction in any commercial or financial way. I've spoken in front of you before on other solar projects. I believe in renewable energy. I believe that solar is beneficial to agriculture. In this particular case, when Jake stops farming it and it goes into solar, there's 8,200 acre feet of water that may be able for Jake to farm the balance of his land. He can't farm it all now. No farmers can farm all of their land right now. There's way more farmland than there is water. We have to achieve balance in that. To Mr. Surtees' question, he mentioned, is there a better good out there? And so I looked at Coolidge's general plan. Coolidge's general plan is very focused, just like Eloy's, just like Casa Grande, on encouraging growth in their core area. That's within a quarter mile of where their downtown area is right now. So is Eloy, so is Casa Grande. And development is encouraged in the core area because even in Casa Grande or even in Coolidge, Eloy, there's tens of millions of dollars of existing infrastructure there: sewer, water, roads, police, fire. You can't say that there's going to be growth here. This is 6 miles from Coolidge's core. It's 9 miles from Eloy's core. I've talked to the city of Coolidge. I've talked to the city of Eloy. I'm like, why are you in this game? Why are you fighting this? It's good for the schools. Of that $50 million of taxes, $30 million goes to the Casa Grande school districts. That's why Casa Grande is in support. It's very difficult to fund rural schools. Eloy and Coolidge, this isn't even in their city limits, nor is it in their school districts. I don't know why they're in opposition to it when it's beneficial to all of us. It's a waterfall event for the taxpayers. And in general, I've done a lot of agricultural brokerage over the years. I have generational farm families like the Roberts that I've been working with. Most of them don't want their children to get into farming. They don't see a future in farming because the Colorado River is dry. The groundwater is being overpumped. There's too much farmland and not enough water. I would want my children going into agriculture, and I have a degree in agriculture. So there's no better use. We will not see commercial, residential, or industrial development in these rural areas because there's no infrastructure. Even if 1072 passes and you can retire some ag rights for water for development, it comes along with a replenishment requirement. There's probably zero net value to the cost of development, even if that bill passes. And it will not occur outside of the core areas. So there is no better and higher use than solar. It's beneficial to the water equation, it's extremely beneficial to the taxpayers, and it's beneficial to the environment.
Thank you, Mr. McCarville. Next up is Justin Hastings.
Good morning, members of the board. Chairman, my name is Justin Hastings. I live in Chandler, Arizona. My family owns 320 acres immediately abutting the eastern portion of the proposed project. Appreciate you allowing me to speak in opposition to the solar farm. It's been mentioned about people owning property in the area for a long time. My family's owned that 320 acres for 40 years, dating back to my grandfather, Mac Hastings, and my father, Mike Hastings, who mostly farmed in the Queen Creek area, but also down in this area. So we've been around as well. And we've wanted to see that land put to best use. The area is already established as a residential area that will be completely cut off if the project is approved. Biggest concern to us is this checkered pattern all over the place, completely surrounding existing neighborhoods. I hope you can understand our shock when this first started 4 years ago and you wake up and you get a card in the mail that shows your 320 acres basically surrounded on 3/4 of its frontage. It's going to turn to solar farm. The City of Eloy general plan designates the land as south and medium residential, so these other municipalities see it as residential. Coolidge general plan designates the area to the north and east as urban neighborhood. Casa Grande general plan designates the area itself and areas to the west as rural and neighborhoods. Approval of the project will ensure the existing residential is cut off from development that would make their neighborhoods grow. And that's just kind of my prepared stuff that I had today, but I've sat and listened. I've been coming to these meetings for the last 4 years. Like I mentioned, when this thing first started and I got it in the mail and I saw all that solar was going to go around our property, I was like, what the heck are we going to do? How do we deal with that? And I actually had communicated with the original lady who was the face of their project about, I don't know, if you're going to surround me, then maybe I need to be a part of this. And I came to those original meetings at Planning and Zoning and here when you guys approved it, because I was told, well, if you just sit back and maybe you'll be a part of it when we go down the road. And then as soon as it got past your approval the first time, then everybody stopped talking to me. So about being good communicators with the people and the property owners, I'm not so sure about that either. And to Mr. Roberts' point about, it's private property, it's what is set aside for your family. Well, we've done that too. And I think we have the right to be able to do what we want to do. But when someone comes in and does that all the way around your property, it's going to have a huge impact on what the heck our generations of kids and things will be able to do with that property that's been set aside for a really long time as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hastings. Next up, I have Justin Ward.
Hey, good morning, Board. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Justin Ward. I'm from Casa Grande, Arizona. As part of kind of what Justin Hastings and others have said, we've been a part of this project from the infancy, not only just within Pinal County for Invenergy, but along with other Casa Grande, Eloy, Coolidge solar projects for the last 4 years. I think there's a consensus that we're to the point of there's solar fatigue, but not really to bring in kind of more of an emotional response as the community has that have kind of been impacted by this. It is checkerboard kind of projects and solar projects that have been approved and have been implemented within that area. And there was kind of a point to bring up with the community is we got to put some kind of a stop to this, or kind of what is the game plan? What is the end state here as the community and as kind of a development plan? And some of that has been great of Eloy is coming to the board and talking through this and what policies and they have with their overlay plan. And same within Pinal County is, hey, we're looking and we're engaging with Casa Grande and Eloy, and we're looking at doing smart planning. I think as a part of that is as a homeowner from it and the other neighboring community neighbors that are part of it, that has also equestrian facilities and families and everything that are surrounded at it, is, what are our rights and impact if something like this happens? And we've kind of brought this question from day one, even as a part of Energy, because it is a patchwork project that is surrounded by neighborhoods. And really it was kind of being stated as, what are the kind of the unknown adverse impacts for that of health and safety? There's well water. There's a lot of unknown. Honestly, there's not enough data. I'm an engineer. I have concerns with even just looking at this decommissioning plan in 30 years. Honestly, is it even feasible? We're talking about 1,600 acres of that and tearing up electrical infrastructure. Is that something that is even really feasible off of their plan? But not only that is, who's responsible if there are kind of unknown adverse impacts to the community around that? Whether it's health and safety or livestock, is that going to be Invenergy? SRP, I don't think we've been into one meeting thus far that we've even had representation from SRP in here of saying, yes, we are going to do this. Yes, there's even unknown of what the power utilization that's going to be, if it's even going to be in this community, if it's even going to be used for Arizona. There's statements of, we don't know. They just SRP can be able to handle that however. If it's to the highest bidder, if it's going to Texas, California, doesn't really make sense. It's kind of crazy how we're to this point of the project and that's still an unknown and hasn't really been defined. But I think that the biggest thing is who is really responsible and liable for those unknown adverse impacts if they come up, if that's in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whenever that is. And so that might be something. I know there's legal representation here from Pinal, but at some point, if this is approved or denied, that we kind of understand that and be able to have a response to that. I know I'm out of time, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next I have is Andy Sutton.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, my name is Andy Sutton. I'm a council member for the City of Eloy. I'm joined today with our Vice Mayor Curtis and fellow council member Tarangelo. We are here to address the pad request submitted by Sundog Energy, which requires rezoning a portion of land from general rural to industrial I-3 to a pad. This land includes 365 acres within the City of Eloy general planning area, and our input should be significantly influence the county's decision. After careful review, the City of Eloy continues to strongly urge the Pinal Board of Supervisors to deny this request. Our recommendation is based on several critical points. After Eloy allowed 3 significant projects covering approximately 1,500 acres north of Hannah Road, we reflected on these facilities' impact on nearby neighborhoods and the future growth in the area. We also listened to numerous complaints from our residents and those living adjacent to these projects. Second, the City of Eloy General Plan designates these parcels as estate density residential. This designation is incompatible with utility-scale solar or industrial uses. The Eloy General Plan respects this property's existing Pinal County zoning designation of general rural. Our plan envisions future residential development for this area to assist spurring growth that supports Eloy, Casa Grande, and Coolidge. This provides a place for families to call home. The proposed industrial zoning contradicts this vision and it significantly deteriorates any potential for compatible residential growth. Third, the proposed I-3 industrial zoning is not suitable for the area. The I-3 designation is intended for heavy industrial use and free from conflict with residential areas. However, these parcels are adjacent to master plan residential community, EJR Ranch, which underscores the inconsistency of the project. Industrial use, as previously elaborated, EJR Ranch planned area development is an adjacent master plan community with small single-family residential lots. Development reflects significant investment commitment to residential use. Finally, these parcels face challenge related to fire service coverage. The Eloy Fire District does not currently serve these parcels, and the nearest fire facility is approximately 7 miles away, resulting in delayed response time. This poses a significant risk. In conclusion, we request that the county deny the zoning request for the reasons outlined. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Sutton. Okay, next up is Julie Fraser.
Good morning, Chairman Goodman, members of the board. My name is Julie Frazier. I live at 420 South Davis Circle in Casa Grande. What about my property rights? My property is located less than 1/8 of a mile from the proposed project and in a particular, and I'm extremely particularly worried about the battery facility. The presentation by the applicant has been less than transparent. The pictures in the presentation are misleading and they do not reflect the adjacent homes along Tweedy Road where I reside and the surrounding area. The communities of Tierra Grande and Sunscape RV Park are also less than a mile away. This lack of transparency raises questions. The portion of this proposed project along Highway 287 and Tweedy is also approximately a half a mile from Pinal County Fairgrounds, Pinal County Animal Control, Mary C. O'Brien Accommodation School, and Pinal County Housing Authority. All those entities fall under the powers and duties of the Pinal County Board of Supervisors. Why would you put these entities, residents, employees, and children in possible peril by allowing this project to go forward? This is a lot more than what was depicted in the pictures in the presentation. Should a fire occur and water is used to suppress the flames, what are the protections for the contaminated well water if hazardous materials leach into the soil and groundwater? Who would be responsible? Also, would the county not be responsible for the cost of relocating and housing civilians, livestock, animals, etc., should we have to be evacuated in the event of a fire? I am in complete opposition of this project. My home is my investment. Houses in this area range approximately from $450,000 to even $1 million. At the City Council meeting for the City of Coolidge regarding a proposed standalone battery storage facility, it was stated that Century 21 determined that renewable energy is considered an incurable defect that must be disclosed to potential buyer and could lower property values up to 10% or more. ARS 11-269.01, compensation for loss of property value, states in part, quote, Board of Supervisors may establish by ordinance for individual cases procedures to compensate property owners for any reduction in value of or negative impact on property as a result of a county ordinance, regulation, or other activity, end quote. Is the county willing to take on this responsibility? The City of Coolidge voted down the standalone battery storage for a multitude of reasons, most importantly, the potential of a fire and hazardous materials and the cost to the City of Coolidge to contain a fire should it happen.
Thank you, Ms. Fraser.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up is Noah Hiscox.
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. Thank you for your service and your heartfelt decisions that affect the citizens of Pinal County. I have made a good living as a farmer here in Pinal County for 46 years. I farmed 3,000 acres on San Carlos Irrigation and Drainage District. We always managed with the water allotments, even though they varied considerably from year to year. The statement that our Pinal County farms have no water is ridiculous. I'm living proof. I paid for a nice home, a nice farm, and put 2 children through college. Go U of A. The concept or requirement of providing a 100-year assured water supply for development is currently being modified with the soon-to-be-passed and adopted ADAWS program. SB 1172 did not pass, but ADAWS is alive and well and will be passed. ADWR is working with water providers and other stakeholders to draft a new rule providing for an alternative designation of assured water supply, ADAWS. This mechanism is to open the door for more water providers, water companies, cities, etc., to become designated assured water supply providers. Once they become designated assured water supply providers, new subdivisions can be built in their surface areas. And this will bypass the requirement of the 100-year assured water supply. Those grandfathered water rights will be retired, and we will have the ability to build subdivisions again on farmland. And so the notion that we have no water and we're out of business is just not true. We have potential for growth here in Pinal County, and it's up to us to make that clear to the public. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Okay. Tom Scott.
Chairman Goodman and members of the board, we've been told over and over that farmers don't have enough water to farm and to be profitable, that utility-grade solar is the answer. This statement is totally false. In 1983, our family started M&S Equipment. We sell farm equipment, and we service what we sell here in Pinal County. Our business is reliant 100% on agriculture. From in the period before 1990, we didn't have any CAP of water, and the farmers had to rely upon the water from Coolidge Dam and wells, and the wells were regulated starting in 1980. In some years there was a lot of water and the farmers prospered, and then there were several years of drought, and we had to think about how to be more conservative. So, yeah, with this being said, agriculture has been able to adapt, survive, and prosper during these years. When M&S started in 1983, we had 13 employees, and now we have 31. The amount of water available has been restricted at times, but we have all learned to adjust. In the last 40 years, the farmers and M&S equipment have prospered in Pinal County. According to Arizona Department of Water Resources, Pinal County is one of the most efficient counties in the United States with managing their ag water. Last year, in 2023, our CAP allotment was cut to zero. Farmers were still able to pump, and once again, they were able to adjust the amount of water available. Our family came to Arizona in the late 1880s. They bought land, they cleared the mesquite trees, and began farming. As in life and other industries, we must continually be changing and adapting to the resources available. If our productive farmland is replaced with solar panels and solar battery storage, people will lose their jobs. Farms and dairies will no longer be purchasing goods and services from our communities. Loss of sales would include groceries, hardware, tractors, automobiles, and eating at restaurants. The loss of domestic spending would also reduce taxes to be collected by our county and our community, thus creating a shortfall of revenue. How many meals or cars will solar panels purchase over the years? How many shirts or shopping carts full of groceries will solar batteries purchase? You can see where I'm going with this thought. Pinal County and our local communities are currently sustainable, but if we allow more solar, they won't be. Please deny this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. I have Brenda Hiskar. Hiskar? Oh, thank you. Straighten me out, would you?
Brenda Hiscox. Don't start my time. Brenda Hiscox. Okay, now start. A lot has changed since 2020 in the original approval. Namely, I never heard it mentioned today, it was denied twice by P&Z. These are signatures of people who don't want any more solar. I really don't envy your position because you got the ACC telling you approve it. You got Invenergy telling you to approve it. And you got these people telling you don't. Really tough spot. I was at the Line Site Committee hearing for this project. One of the commissioners said, I don't like the site of this. Can you move it? It's too close to homes. And Invenergy said, it's easiest and cheapest where it's at. Line Site Committee said, we do not recommend this. We don't like it, but it's not our job to decide if it's good or bad. It's our job to make sure both sides have done due diligence. And unfortunately, only one family showed up in opposition. We were there. We didn't live there. We don't live 300 feet, so we didn't have a voice. But only one family showed up. And so they reluctantly pushed it through. I went to the neighborhood after that, and I talked to the people, and they were very angry. And they said, of course they couldn't come. It's a 3-day hearing, and they had to work. I was in that meeting. And, you know, this nice presentation about, I know you have a hard decision to make. We don't envy your decision. Not everybody wants solar. Decide the right thing. Yeah, I was in that meeting. And when they were asked by the commissioners, what if Board of Supervisors don't pass your project? And they said, oh, we'll sue. That's not friendly. You have people that don't live here trying to shove this down our throat. Now, I have a bigger thing that I heard yesterday on the radio. If elected, President Trump said, he was in Wisconsin yesterday, and he said, if elected, he will end all money for green energy on day one. And then, where will we as a county be? I'm pretty worried about that. I mean, are these people just going to pack up and leave? It's pretty scary. It's not just a choice about approve or deny or be sued or not be sued. There's another choice. It's the one we keep asking you to make. Not near people. Not here. Put it out further away. It's a $50 billion company. They can afford to not put it where people are. You got a letter this week from Karen Goldmacher from Central Arizona, retired professor of agriculture. She gave you a letter telling you this is not going to be farmable. It's not remuneration in a year. It takes 50 years. The soil is killed. It's dead. It's scorched earth. You got a letter from our climatologist. There is a dust effect. When you take vegetation off the ground, you now have dirt. We're putting this on 287, right where people drive between the two cities. It's dangerous. I think there's going to be bad things happening. I would just encourage you. These are the voters. We put you there. Just please think of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. Deborah Needy.
Good afternoon, Chairman Goodman. It's Debbie Neely, by the way.
Oh,
and that's okay. Now you can start my time. Supervisors, also, I'd like to thank you for my time today. I am a Coolidge resident. I am opposed to this project, and I ask that you vote to decline it. As a matter of fact, I am opposed to any more solar development in Pinal County. I do not believe that solar development is the best economic, ideal future growth for Pinal County. You know, today you're hearing from multiple people here who oppose this. I know that you have received emails from multiple people within the community that oppose it because they've asked me, I can't make the meeting, what can I do? Email your supervisors. And as you just heard, you have over hundreds of signatures on a petition opposing this as well. These are the people that have voted you into the chair in which you are sitting in today. I cannot fathom why you would not support them. These energy developments, I've been to P&Z meetings, city council meetings over the last 4 years. I've been to the developers' promotional presentations. You know, the message that they bring to us, it's canned. It's the same thing. We'll plant more vegetation. We'll make the wall higher. We'll move it back further. And my all-time favorite up till today, because I heard a new one today, was we'll build the walkway longer so you have more room to stroll around and enjoy this. Today, I hear, this is a good one. We are in the land preservation activity with you all. We are now your partner preserving your land. These are the developers' responses to the community platforms in your community. Your community has asked you and is pleading with you and has voted for you to side with them. The platform of your community is, we're done. We've been very generous. We don't want any more. We don't want to look at any more. And we are fearful of the dangers that these developments are bringing into our community. Mr. Miller, you, on another unrelated matter this morning, struck my heart. You said that you are frustrated and disappointed that Pinal County is not worthy of water. I am frustrated and disappointed that Pinal County is not worthy of any better growth and development than solar. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. This is not an opportunity to grandstand or anything. This is call to the public. So please, maintain yourselves.
I appreciate that. It wasn't my intent to have that response. I was just trying to convey to you the representatives of the community and my passion for it.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Remember that, would you please? Okay. Our next speaker is Phil Gothright.
There's always someone that has to follow something of that nature. Phil Garthright, I'm the senior planner for the city of Coolidge. Other leadership department heads weren't able to attend today, so I was asked to come and convey the basic message. From a personal experience, in 30 years, I've actually worked both sides of the fence as far as utility goes. I spent 7 years bouncing around 26 states, 1,000 jurisdictions, working with fiber and telecom issues, even got to Australia and New Zealand for a year. I've seen it statewide planning, federal planning, down to the levels of where we deal with it here. Was a senior planner back out in Buckeye 20 years ago. See the landmass out there, what's going on here, done work here as far back as 2005 in Coolidge, and the characteristics, the concerns, the proposals, very similar. I just wanted to share that. Oh, also, I'd actually worked with Western Area Power and First Solar, so I've truly seen both sides of the fence. The position that I was asked to bring for the city of Coolidge today is actually something I haven't heard yet today, which is basically kind of falling back on the economic development aspect of things. Being the corridor of the highway the way that it is, our land use, obviously within our planning boundary but not annexed into it, is still of interest to us. It was designated, even though it is of a sort of urban neighborhood characteristic, but it is our largest range for zoning, which would allow anything from residential, mixed-use components, all the way to the commercial aspect. These areas within our planning area were designated as such when they were, while still acknowledging what the county has done in 2020, to tie in with other potential land uses that would be of an economic bearing for employment centers and things of that nature, not to take away from, once again, the farming. Economic development relative to commercial, yes, does take some farmland, but not as much as this. So the position of the city is asking that the Board of Supervisors consider denying this application for the reasons that we feel that the land uses that were partially designated from an economic standpoint should retain and maybe even be considered for the county to actually revert it back to such measures so that they could be an employment corridor. Best example I can offer is our IPAS in Landport, Arizona. Without that critical corridor connection and the improvements that are going to come working with the county, working with the state as it connects to I-10, that is going to be our economic driver. As far as the activity between that location and over to I-10 where it connects over to Casa Grande, I can only speculate as much as what the brokers might say. But having the availability of the land for their prospectiveness to bring in clients and take a look at it, kick the tires like we have with many major clients for IPAS, is the exciting aspects of economic development, and thus the reason that we're encouraging the denial for this day. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I don't have any more cards. Is there anybody else? Mr. McCain.
Good afternoon, Chairman Goodman. As everyone knows here on this board, I take meetings at the Arizona Corporation Commission. I've told you before, I've got 151 credit hours of college. Part of it is electronic engineering technology, which I did do a thesis on solar. Now, the presentation was good, but this is a case of greed over need. Safety must come first. Now, I'm a write-in candidate for District 1 for supervisor, true, but safety comes first. And this is a straight case of good technology used for bad purposes. Now, they know that the material they're using is substandard. They also know, well, being at the Board of Supervisors, we have the solar being held as, they just overlook it, but the storage had blown up twice. And now you put everybody and their health is affected by this. So I'm asking you, as a human being, to deny this because they have substandard material and they have blown up before more than twice. And since they know that, then we have to err upon safety. So I ask you to deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public? This young lady coming up now.
Hi, my name is Dosky Edwards, and everyone made really good points earlier. And yeah, when I saw the aerial view of the farmland, I was like amazed how much of it was green and still farmable. That shouldn't be allowed because it's how we feed ourselves and our animals. And okay, all right. So no one wants it here. And it's just going to be a scar to the community and say they're going to tear it down in 30 years. What if it doesn't happen? My sister lives in California where these belong. But, yeah, and they're just like, solar ghost towns where they haven't been torn down or anything. And it can't be reused in any shape or form, so it's not renewable. It's toxic waste. And no one's putting solar panels on their houses anymore because the math doesn't add up and it doesn't make any sense. So for the federal government to just think, let's do this on a larger scale and we'll spend the trillions of dollars for the people, and it's kind of retarded. But, and I think it'll make us super reliant on China, who's backing Russia, and obviously they're not very trustworthy. So, and we should be investing in nuclear and energy that is self-made and will outlive and outproduce solar instead of just making a quick dollar. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, seeing that there's none, I'll now close the public hearing. And board members, is there any questions or anybody that you, Supervisor Surtee?
Could I get Brent Billingsley to talk about P&Z? I believe it was 9-1 recommended against.
That's correct, sir. They voted against it. I believe the vote was 9-1.
Did any explain their vote? What was their thought process? Do you know?
There were, just like today, a number of folks that came forward and discussed the project, both for and against. I don't recall that there was a lengthy discussion amongst the P&Z other than they wanted to add a stipulation with respect to screening on the outside of the property. That was their primary discussion. But as I believe somebody mentioned previously, there had been 2 discussions at Planning and Zoning.
Okay, thank you.
I have a request to go into executive session, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want to make that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go into exec session for legal advice concerning our boundaries in terms of changes, approvals, and disapprovals.
Okay. Do I have a second? I'll second. Got a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're now in executive session. We'll come back. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We are out of the executive session. Okay. I think there's several questions that...
Chairman?
Yes.
Before we go into that, Sangita needs to make a statement for the record.
For the record,
Lay it on us.
For the record, I would like to state that the draft ordinances presented to the board have been revised to correct the dates of the P&Z that was heard twice and to reflect the correct voting. Earlier, it had said 1-9 and 9-1, so it should be corrected to what has been shared in the presentation and also on the updated staff report to be 9-1 and 9-0.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Is there any questions that we have of the applicant or of the landowner? Anybody? What's that? Or staff. Yeah, that's the other one. I myself have a couple. Might create a little. One of them is, we heard from the town of Eloy and also Coolidge in regards to that corridor being more commercial stuff, and so I just want to think of for economic concerns, potential more economic growth. What's your thoughts about that?
My thoughts on the comments from Coolidge and Eloy regarding
just scaling back a bit so that they're along the highway there, that more economic growth could take place. Highway. It's 87. Did I say 287? No, I said it right then. Come on, man.
So is the question here how we feel about setting the project back to allow for different usages on the frontage of the highways?
Yeah, that would be my question.
We would need to confer with the landowner on that one.
Okay.
Right now, I mean, what he said is that what he wants to see this project developed, and it's his rights to develop this in the way that he sees fit. And I don't know if that includes anything related to any other alternative developments.
Okay. Is Mr. Roberts, you still here, right? He deferred it to you guys, and so.
Jake, you want me to just kind of introduce this? I'd be
Sure.
happy to. Sure. So, my name is Jim Huntworth. I'm a real estate lawyer from Phoenix. 5 or 6 years ago, Jake came to talk to me after he had already chased away all the people who wanted to buy his land and had narrowed it down to the thought of leasing it to Invenergy. The very first question he asked me was, how can we make sure at the end of the lease term that the land is restored so my family can continue to farm it? The second question he asked was, how can we make sure that I preserve my water rights so we can continue to farm it? There is not a single thought in the mind of my client about selling this land for industrial or residential. This is the family farm. They will fight as long as they can to preserve it for that use. The questions he asked me, he proved that to me from day one. We negotiated this whole deal based on that premise. And, what can I say? They gave up short-term gain for this long-term goal. And Coolidge isn't going to tell them how to use their land. Eloy's not going to tell them how to use their land. You, gentlemen, have the authority to allow them to use their land as they see fit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other? Supervisor Miller?
I just will make some comments. There may be a question that surfaced from it, but things that we heard for the last hour and a half, whatever it was. Site selection, why did it get sited in that area? It's because there's a substation that's probably about a driver away from the land. I mean, you can see the substation from that location, and this is repeating itself throughout the county. If there's a substation near you, there's somebody looking at trying to put some type of energy producer in that area. Certainly got some stuff going out on the west side of the Casa Grande area, same kind of concerns. And the reason is we don't have enough electricity. I'm already getting brownouts out in the Stanfield and area. And the reason is ED2 can't purchase enough electricity. So to say that, and I don't know how anybody would think that they could track an electron from a solar farm and make its way all the way to Mesa it's not even possible. And the reason they're focusing on the Pinal County is because we're producing so much more industrial uses, and we're just sucking up the energy, and they need to produce more electricity for this area. This is the reason. I've had conversations with both SRP and APS. APS is getting ready to put in an expansion on their gas facility not too far from that area. Why? It's close to that substation, and the demand is here. So incompatible, I just don't, the solar farms are so passive, I just can't even understand how they create a problem. I would rather have these solar panels blocking the wind from taking the topsoil off and ruining it. You can remove it later and then go back to farming. I thought Mr. Roberts has done the right thing by leasing this with the idea that they could get back to farming someday when there's water. Let's bring up the water. The ADOS program is worthless if they don't pass 1172. That's tied to it. All those bills were tied together. I don't think all four of them are going to get signed. And as I said earlier in the meeting, Pinal County is not feeling the love from the state of Arizona. They really don't care if they solve our water problem down here. And he's doing the right thing. Let me create some income from part of my land so I can still farm a little bit of it. So I just really wonder what we were thinking. And where was everybody 5 years ago when we did change this to a green energy use? Because I don't remember anybody opposing it at all. We had an economic development guy by the name of Tim Knavel who was carrying the banner of Pinal County's the greenest county in the state of Arizona. He was dragging in people from all over to bring solar farms into this area. I mean, Jake will tell you, he was approached many, many times. He stood his ground because he wanted to hold on to his land, which I commend him for that. So, I mean, a lot of this has all been produced from the past, and it also shows you what the future looks like. You don't want to produce this electricity here? Be prepared for no growth. Be prepared for brownouts. Be prepared for the things that will be affected by not having this electricity here. We've oversold this place by bringing in all the industry we've done. The electricity is staying in this county. It's not going to Phoenix or Mesa or Tempe or any place else. We can't produce enough for ourselves, and that's why this stuff is happening here. I just think, and one other aspect that kept coming up, it's going to devalue my land. I have not seen any evidence that a house appraised at X dollars, solar farm came in down the street, and 4 years later, the appraisal on this house did not go down. They always go up. They go up because of cost of materials. They go up because of just the demand and the need. I've never seen a property go down in value. Maybe it didn't go up as much as people wanted it to, but it's not gone down. So and then the voters. I did not realize I had people in Chandler voting for me. But that being said, and one other thing, and maybe this is a question for staff. I think the requirements for notification is 300 feet. I think, is that the correct number?
600 feet.
600 feet?
It's 600.
600 feet? Well, it should be, according to where these people live, why is it not 5 miles? Why is it not 15 miles?
Well, this is as per state statutes that have been...
Okay. So the notification requirement is state statute.
And the neighborhood meeting is 1,200 feet.
Okay.
And at the planning and zoning level, when we notify, it's 600 feet.
But we don't notify people a mile away, right?
Well,
okay.
Our state.
My point is, and this is not just for this project. For the Pinal County, we may need to. Can we exceed that distance? Because we may need to start notifying people 20 miles away. Because if you look at those addresses on that, I've got people who are 16, 17 miles from the site on the addresses they left. We got one that lives in Chandler. So I don't know where that ring is of notification, but it's not enough, evidently, and that's another discussion. But anyway, this is where I'm frustrated. I believe in property rights. I believe people, if I can take this man's property rights, if I can discriminate against this man, I can do it to you as well. So that's where I stand on this thing. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. You know, I think for me, I'd like to add a couple more comments. When I first came into office in 2017, there was a lot of discussion and talks around shutting down our 2 coal plants that are here within our state. Actually, we've got 4. And right now, they just closed down one in Page. They've been decommissioning it, and it's all cleaned up now. If you haven't been up to Page, that produced coal electricity for years and years and years. And now St. John's, Arizona, has a coal plant there that is going to be decommissioned by 2028, I believe. And so they're already in the process of doing all that. Somebody mentioned nuclear power. I'm a big proponent of nuclear power. I think it's propelled to a level to where the technology and everything else of that nature makes sense, and it should be done, especially with the smaller nuclear power. Our Navy has been on nuclear power for how many years now, and going forward with nuclear power. Now, to me, that's an alternative. However, that's going to be an act of Congress and everything else to help move that forward. And I witnessed that in Washington, D.C. here a few months ago, where we met with Senator Kelly and others in regards to solar power to help promote that. We're a growing state. And one of the biggest fears that I have, similar to what yours is, Supervisor Miller, is that blackouts. You know, it was mentioned earlier that we're the protectors. We're the ones that should be overlooking and overseeing the not only the property rights, but the health and safety issues of everybody else. Our society as a whole, my kids wouldn't even know what to do without electronics. And I think everybody else would say the same thing. The need for power is extremely important. Do you know in Santan Valley there's 35,000 homes platted in addition to what's already there? That's a lot of energy, a lot of power that's going to be needed in Pinal County as we go into the future. Somebody mentioned something about these additional farm properties being able to develop into homes. The Nevitt family farmed, and Barney family farmed in the Queen Creek area for years and years and years. And I remember when I first moved back into the area and was farming, Pops Nevitt, I was coming home with my head between my legs because I was cleaning up an area that I was going to farm. And I remember him talking to me about the amount of time and effort that him and his family, along with the Barneys and the Sossamans and the Schneffs, cleaning up desert land, clearing it, making it available for farming. And now look at Queen Creek in that area and what other families have been able to enjoy, what these families came here to do eventually, what they came here and they settled this area. They cleared the desert. They did everything. And other family members are now able to come from across the country to enjoy a lot of the things that we have here in Arizona. We're going to need the power. It's not going to get any better than it is. It's only going to get worse if we don't find ways to bring the power. So anybody else have anything that they would like to add or talk before we put this to vote? Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Corporation Commission says that we have to be on 100% renewable energy. I think it's by 2050. So I don't agree with that, and I don't like solar. I agree with the chairman that nuclear would be a better option. China's building tons and tons of coal plants. We're foolishly shutting them down. Our comp plan dictates that Pinal County is a green energy welcoming county. So here we are. My concern is for the city of Coolidge and Eloy and their legitimate desire to keep a portion of the highway, the land adjacent to the highway, available for industrial uses. And that maybe we talked a minute ago about increasing the setback. Well, it's not really a setback. It would be moving the project back to accommodate future. But then the landowner, the family who's owned this forever, then they don't have the opportunity to profit from that land today. So in some way, they may be able to, in their private lease with the solar company, segregate a portion of that area near the highway so that if somebody wants to pay the homeowner or the property owner 3 times the amount of the lease that the solar company is offering, he can say, fine, get the solar off and we want to put a tire factory there. And they can still own the land and collect the rent, but it's the arguments against are very legitimate but the bottom line is, like Mr. Miller said, It's their land. And if we continue to allow the government to really control, thank you, Mr. Chairman, control the land of a private citizen, then what are we? We're no longer a free republic.
Okay. Any other comments or okay? Do we have a motion moving forward then? Now we got to do each one of these individually. So item number 13.
Mr. Chair, I'd have one other comment.
Yes.
In discussions too, we talk about Coolidge and Eloy and their development plan and that, and I agree with that. That's in their future view. Without infrastructure in that area, it's not going to come for 20 to 30 years. There's nothing there, and the infrastructure, as Supervisor Miller says, is the expensive part to bring in. I mean, water, sewer, electric. So it's a consideration.
However, if you put solar, there'd be no reason to ever bring infrastructure there.
That's
because they'll look at it and say, "Well, we're never going to go there. There's solar there."
That's very true.
That's very true. But keep in mind that the landowner has already mentioned that he wants to take this back into farming when it's all said and done. He's just trying to, so many things was made about making adjustments in the way that we live and the things that we do. When society as a whole makes changes, we have to change. That's one thing that's constant. My dad always said was change, always constant. And what Mr. Roberts and his family is saying that they ultimately want to get back into farming at some point within that between now and 30 years. And so this will allow them to be able to go back into that, as you're working into, that's the other interesting thing. I have fought with the planning areas of various cities. I get it. I understand it. But there's a reason why people don't annex into cities and things of that nature is because of certain things that they like the freedom of being away from a city or whatever. And so if they truly wanted to be in the city area, they would have said, you know what, we choose to be a part of the city of Eloy or the city of Coolidge, whatever the case may be. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Okay?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So I have something else to add. So I wrote lots of notes. While everyone speaks, I type the notes in, and I have someone said that they asked the company what would happen if the board denied it. And someone from the company said, well, we'd probably sue the county. Whether that's true or not, they're shaking their heads no. But even if they said it, even if they said that, why would that be said? Well, and would they have a basis for that? Well, we've approved solar already in different parts of the county that are similar to this with the battery storage, which I've argued against in the past. And so that is a legitimate concern for the county, that we can't be arbitrary in our decisions. If we've approved it over here, can we deny it in another place that's similar in circumstance, and does that open us up to a potential liability? Well, that's got to be a consideration, that we treat each landowner equally to the greatest extent possible. So that is another issue that we have to consider. Another person talked about the setback of 50 feet, and that I don't think we're to that point yet. No. Setbacks are going to come in another meeting. What we discussed, what the chairman asked about, is not a setback from the highway, is changing that in some way to go, okay, cities, yeah, we get it, and we'd like the availability to, at some other time, turn the first 500 feet away from the road into industrial, if it's beneficial to the landowner because it's his land, and that's part of their private lease. So those are my other comments. Thank you.
Okay. I think one other one was in the event of a sale of a lease. I would imagine that, and maybe legal can answer this, that if you sell the lease and it's agreed upon by the landowner, the terms of the lease are still the term of the lease. Is that correct? Am I to understand that correctly? Okay. All right.
A couple other things.
Supervisor Miller.
Now that I've calmed down a little bit. The subsidies were brought up. I think those subsidies come from the federal government, and I would say that if you go on to, you just need to elect new people to represent you in Washington that might want to get rid of the subsidies. I don't agree with the subsidies, but there's a lot of industries that are subsidized. Farmers, dairies, there is subsidies there as well, and for good reason. Those were put in many, many years ago. So some of these industries, I don't think they totally rely on the subsidy, but it does make them a little more palatable. I think somebody said they don't like the looks of them. I bet there's somebody in this audience that has a solar panel on their roof, and I don't like them. They're all over my neighborhood, but I don't get to go tell somebody to take them off. It's their house. They get to do with what they want. I think drilling a hole in your roof and putting a panel up there is not very smart. And also they cause problems with insurance and stuff. But that's beside the point. If it's sight, sorry, we just have to learn to live with it. And these emails I get are pretty interesting. They are public records. You know, if somebody wants to read them, they're public records requests. Somebody can request them. But when I was told that birds burn up when they fly over the top of panels, I really start losing the faith in what I'm being told. I mean, that's a story, and I don't know why Channel 3 News isn't out here checking that out if that's the case. It's just all kinds of stuff that just doesn't add up for me. So anyway,
okay,
that's enough.
Mr. Chair, I would just point that, you know, we have a farm, but, you know, a farmer's property, you know, really doesn't make the money that everybody thinks it does. I mean, yes, it does make money, and yes, you're holding it for the future, for your family, for whatever, but really the value in the property is what you can do with it in the future, how you're going to sell it, and that's been shown in a lot of cases here in this county. So just want to make that point.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other comments or anything among the board here, so can I get a motion on number 13 moving forward?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 13 as presented with one stipulation.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second that. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Me.
Nay.
Okay. So I've got 2 nays and 3 ayes. Okay, passes. Okay, number 14. To have a motion moving forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 14 as presented with 19 stipulations.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second it myself. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
And again, I hear 3 ayes and 2 nays. Correct? Okay. Item passes. Okay. On to number 15. Wait a minute. Is there a 15?
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Megan Villegas with Development Services. On the agenda is a recommendation for approval of a right-of-way license agreement between Pinal County and Crown Castle Fiber. This agreement will allow them utilization of the county right-of-ways for fiber optic services.
Okay.
So Development Services is recommending the approval of this agreement.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing that there's none, do we have a motion moving forward? Item number 15.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve item 15 as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Let's move on to item number 16. This is a presentation of discussion regarding District 2's collaboration with ADOT and the Arizona State Library Archives and Records Department to assess Doug Greer's application for naming the newly reconstructed Florence Bridge in memory of Rusty Greer. The public commented period for stakeholders will conclude on June 24th. I've requested for this, and if I could just take a couple of minutes, and honestly, I'll try not to tear up because this is a personal request of mine. The Greer family they have farmed and dairied here in Arizona for years and years and years. I grew up with Rusty. He was a good friend and great friend of mine, and we spent time at their dairy a lot of summers. When we were 12 years old, we were on a scouting activity earning our merit badge for biking. We did a lot of rigorous things, and the last thing that we needed to do was a 50-mile bike ride. We started at Apache Trail, came down Ellsworth, and did all the back roads all the way to the bridge. Just on the other side of the bridge was the conclusion of that 50-mile ride. 14 young men were there, ages from 12 to 14 years of age. We weren't as safe as they are today. No biking helmets. Stingrays were a big thing. Banana seats on the bikes, and your cards, the poker cards or whatever. We didn't play poker, by the way, but the poker cards you'd put on and you'd make the noise. Rusty was on the right side going with the traffic. A friend was on the opposite side and Rusty thought he was motioning him to come over, but instead he was warning him of the traffic oncoming. Needless to say, Rusty pulled in front. As we loaded him into a station wagon to get him to the hospital here in Florence. As you can imagine, for a bunch of 12 and 14-year-old boys, the sight of seeing one of their best friends hit by a car and not knowing what the outcome was going to be. As we sat out in the parking lot here at the old hospital, and we were talking about life and how fragile it was. I don't think they meant to, but they brought him out on a gurney with a sheet covered over the top of him. You could see the blood soaked into the sheets. It gave us all an opportunity to talk about the importance of life, the value of it, the purpose of life. Only one other individual in that group of 14 young men has passed on. The rest of us are still alive. But this would mean a lot to the Greer family in particular. I was approached by Kevin Peterson, who has done a lot of business here in the county with the Greer family, and had requested that this be done. I felt, man, what an honor that would be for the name of that bridge to be the Rusty. That was his middle name. It was Russell John, but they say it's too long, so we've shortened it down to what everybody knew him about was Rusty. And so with that, I'm asking this board to, this is information only, but don't we have to?
Presentation and discussion.
Okay. What I'm looking for is for the board to, we are one of the stakeholders in this area. And so we're going to be requesting that I am, along with the Greer family, that the name of the bridge be renamed to the Rusty Greer Bridge. And so I just wanted to make sure that I present this to you, brethren, and for your hopefully your approval at some point. So thank you. Okay. Number 17, discussions of board's requests for future agenda items and or reports to be presented at any upcoming meetings. Is there any future items that anybody would like to see? Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is maybe more for legal to let me know what we can do or can't do, but I'd like to have a better understanding of Mr. Trout's issues from the county side, because we keep hearing from him, but I really don't know. So I don't know if we have to agendize that so we could go into exec session and better understand what the situation is.
Mr. Chairman, because the county attorney's office has been conflicted off with dealing with, if anything, regarding Mr. Trout, we have asked Maricopa County, and they have assigned a Deputy County Attorney, Wayne Peck, to go ahead and advise you on these matters and the issue with Mr. Trout. So we can reach out to Mr. Peck and ask him for availability if the board would so like an executive session on that. That can be accomplished, I'm sure.
I think
I better understand kind of what Mr. Trout's, have a better picture of the whole thing, if that's at all possible. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay, I think most of us would appreciate that. Okay, is there any other items? Okay, with that, we're adjourned.